Look at me, sure. I'm the captain now.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, everybody, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, whoever you're doing it with or to, and however good it may feel. Hi, I'm Legal Vices, and you're on Legal Vices. How are we all doing? You know what day it is. Today's Maritime Monday. It's the day where we do all things maritime. As I've always said, I'm just amazed that everybody is this fascinated and interested in the things that I do for a living, essentially. But for some reason, it doesn't feel like I'm talking about work when I talk about it with you guys. So what we've got going today is, as I said, I love this, and I've been working on this for quite a while and hoping against hope that it would happen, and it did happen. But before we get into all that detail, very quickly, what I want to do is thank all of you, thank the mods for being here and getting us ready for this show today, and thanks everyone in the chat, the Legal Vices chat, as we call ourselves, the Vice Squad. Apparently, is what you've named yourselves. Thank you all for being here. Please, 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 if you haven't already done so, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button. YouTube is playing with their numbers again, like they always do. You know, they go through their little purge every now and then and purge a bunch of subscribers. But if you haven't, please do. And if you have, just double check to make sure you're still there. And of course, we have our always lame but ever-present poll. Today's poll: did you smash the like and subscribe buttons for Maritime Monday? I did. Now it's game over, man. And I did. This is not alien to me. And yes, but no one can hear you scream. And I smashed the like and subscribe button. Yeah, I got you, you son of a bitch. So there we go. That's our lame poll. Go ahead, take that, and we'll look at it in about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, and see how it's playing out and what people are choosing. And we've already had David. Welcome, David, who has joined as the newest member of the Clean and Sober crew. Thank you very, very much. And Marv White, our very first super chat of the day, does the ship sink? No, this is just destroyed. It just gets blown up, as we'll see later. And Darrell Ong, a member for 7 months of the I'm not sober. The Clean and Sober crew says, happy Monday, everyone. All right. Thank you for that. God, hang on. All right, I'm going to start. We'll do the super chats here in a minute. But very, very first, we have to bring up the actual star of this show. As you know, we've been pirating his videos and using his hard-earned blood, sweat, and tears to make my nonsense entertaining. Couldn't do it without him, and I'm so glad he is not copyright striking me yet, and he is here. Welcome, everyone. Give a big welcome to Maritime Horror.
How's it going, shipmates? Good morning for me. Good evening for some of you.
And the reason we're here, and again, I as we talked about before, I've been telling these guys that I don't like just. I feel like I'm stealing stuff, but as I've said to you and to other people that I've had on, you guys do this so much better than I ever could, and the factual part of it is fascinating, and I sort of feel like I can add my legal perspective to what's going on, some experiential stuff to sort of put my spin on things and use your videos as a foundation for that. And I really appreciate you not hating me for doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like having a sea lawyer that actually gives good advice.
I hope I do. We've used several of your videos. I was just going through the list. Was a couple of weeks ago we did the Franklin expedition, which is great because there's an Australian couple. Their YouTube channel is called Retired Afloat.
Okay.
They just retired, and now they sail their own boat 6 months of the year, and then 6 months of the year they actually go on cruises and give lectures about basically these kinds of things.
Huh.
And I've got him arranged to be on here on May 8th, and he's going to do a 2-hour deep dive lecture on the Franklin expedition.
Oh,
and so
very nice.
I thought yours is probably the best long to medium form video on that subject. So we gave that as a primer, and he's going to fill in some cool details. We've done the Edmund Fitzgerald. That was we used your video for that one. The Carl D. Bradley. And of course, and the other one, the Daniel J. Morrell, and the Andrea Doria, I believe, in the Halifax. So we've used like 5 of your videos, I think, over the past year.
Yeah.
Because the quality is there, and you put a lot of work into it. And that's kind of one thing I wanted to talk to you about here. Before we get going, I just wanted to let everybody know that you are free to shoot your questions and advice here. Super chats aren't required to you get your questions read, but it does help because I do see them. And if you're parting with your hard-earned cash during this to support the channel, the least I can do is guarantee and make sure that we ask your questions and get your things addressed. But we will try to look at the other questions as they come in too. Chat is flipping by here pretty quick, so we'll do our best. But see now, Flux, you're gonna scare our guest away with your Mocha Dick Poon XOXO adjustable mic, $5 down on the doggone cam. Long explanation. Flux has her own channel called House of Flux, and we were talking about the Essex, the inspiration for Moby Dick, and and someone in there mentioned that the male whales were called Mocha Dicks, and some reason the chat really seemed to latch onto that. So
I was gonna say that looked like the subject line in my spam folder this morning. So
don't open that one.
No, I deleted it.
don't open that one. Okay. Probably not what you think. Well, it probably is what you think it is. That's the problem. And Soul in the Lich, smash like Ripley with a fire extinguisher. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So for those of you that don't know, of course, this is the late April Fool's stream, and I desperately wanted to have Maritime Horror on here on today, which is what it's already the 3rd of April here. It's the 2nd over there where everybody else is. And some of you are right in the middle, but I wanted to have him on here because it's a fascinating video. I love it. And we're just going to kind of play it straight like we do with every other video. But before we do that, I want to just talk and sort of figure out what makes Maritime Horror tick. And get to know a little bit more about him and his channel. And then at the end, with the last 45 minutes, we'll take a look at the video together and make our comments on it. So the first question is why? Why Maritime Horror? What is it that fascinated you about it? So I guess introduce yourself first, and then how you got to where you are.
Right. Yeah, I'm Maritime Horrors. I'm Ian. I was born in a small communist country called California. I moved out of there. I joke, of course. Where Flux is from. I joke, of course. Yeah, I was born in Southern California. And then at about 20 years old, I joined the Coast Guard and was shipped all over the U.S. Mainly joined the Coast Guard because, I don't know, like the idea of helping people here in the United States and all that instead of going over to foreign countries and all that. So,
and how long were you in the Coast Guard?
8 years. Yep.
Cool.
So yeah, I was up in the Bering Sea doing fishery patrols and search and rescue. I was over on the West Coast, Virginia and all that for training and all that. And then I spent a good amount of time up in the Great Lakes doing law enforcement, search and rescue, all that sort of thing. And then after that, I got into commercial salvage. So, when Johnny forgets to put his boat plug in his boat when he goes fishing and he starts sinking in the middle of the lakes, that was me. I saved him. And then I did port security.
Boat plug, chat. Boat plug.
I said boat plug. Yeah.
just in case they were wondering.
Yeah.
So they tend to be hard of hearing occasionally. Just wanted to.
Yeah, it's hard. I get it. The average viewer on YouTube is getting up there in age, so I understand. But yeah, so I did commercial salvage, and then I did port security, and now I'm a merchant mariner. I'm going to be getting on those big coal freighters like the Edmund Fitzgerald and the Carl D. Bradley. Hopefully not exactly like them, but yeah.
Are you going to be working the lakes?
Yeah, I plan on working on the Great Lakes. So the
I'm terrified to even think about going on the Great Lakes because of your videos and others like them.
I think a lot of people just don't realize how big they are and how dangerous they can be and all that. So yeah, it gets pretty choppy.
I'm from Utah, so we have the Great Salt. I mean, Great Salt Lake's not really navigable. It's ridiculously shallow and full of salt, but that is still a ridiculous. That's the largest lake after the Great Lakes, and it's still not even comparable in size.
Yeah. Oh, and
basically it's an ocean up there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you even the smallest lakes like Erie, you get out on the shore and there's no seeing the other shore. Like it's massive.
Yeah.
And you get out to like Superior or Michigan and it's like you're looking at the ocean. So,
Yeah, well, I went to Shanghai for work the first time in 2002, and I remember we had to go to they said this guy was waiting to be interviewed because there was a collision in Brazil or somewhere, and
mhm.
figured it took almost 40 hours of flight time to get from South Korea to where they were in Brazil,
Yeah.
just because there was no direct flights. I'm like, the next ship's coming to it's coming. The next port of call is Shanghai. Would that be better? I'm like, yeah, that's an hour and 10-minute flight from my house.
Yeah.
So they're okay. The ship is there. It's at the mouth of the Yellow River, the Yangtze River, and we got to the port and we drove for like an hour and a half on this jetty. Like literally drove an
Wow.
hour and a half,
Yeah.
and I thought we were like in the ocean. And I'm like, wow. When do we get to the river? He's like, no, this is the river. I'm like,
Wow.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so massive, and these massive bodies of water, and you're dealing with oceanic influences and not just
Oh,
lake
absolutely.
based influences.
Yeah. I mean, we had 1,000-foot freighters coming in to moor at our docks when I was doing port security. And you're like, where the heck do these go? And it's like they're just for the
Uh,
Great Lakes. So yeah,
yeah,
it's
do you think is there going to be a point in time when ships become too big?
um that's hard to say because I mean, uh we had we've already had our largest ship ever, and it was actually sunk. And I think God, I forget the name of it, but we're talking about ships that are nearing a mile long, and it's ridiculous, like to think about, you know. But I don't know at what point do we get there? At what point do we have to build ourselves a Nostromo and go out to space to do all of our mining and all that? You know?
I mean, there's just. I mean, I remember I've been doing this maritime law thing for what 28 years now,
Hmm.
and I remember when 5,000 containers was considered ridiculously huge.
Oh yeah. Well, and the
And now
near
they've got
history.
24,000 container gigantic ships.
Yeah. Yeah. And you look at the near history of the Great Lakes and they're like, wow, we're building these massive 400-foot freighters. And then 100 years later, that's tiny, you know, that's
Yeah.
nothing. So,
And you get the oil tankers, like I said, the coal tankers, or they're just,
hmm,
I mean, you can say something is 400 meters long,
right. And
but
that's,
that really doesn't mean you fit say 4 football fields.
yeah.
But
Yeah. It's hard
when
to
you're
think about.
standing next to it,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And everyone likes to joke that Americans will use anything as a unit of measurement other than the metric system. And it's like, well, yeah, you say 400 meters, but what does that mean to anyone? It's nothing. It's like, yeah, but it's, if you say 5 Goodyear blimps, people are like, oh, I know what he's talking about.
and what are our viewers' fondness? I've seen this video 3 times already. I love your videos. Maritime Horror has been subbed for a couple of years.
I appreciate it. Yeah. But yeah, honestly, the whole channel started back when I was up in Alaska. I was in navigation, so I was doing all the chart corrections and everything, and I would see the wreck markers on charts all the
Oh,
time,
yeah.
like doing corrections and stuff. And I'm like, I wonder what the story of that wreck is. Like, how did that get there? What happened to those people? And I was actually we were going through the inside passage, and we were going by Vanderbilt Reef, and I was like, oh, there's a wreck like right on the reef. Like, what idiot ran his boat up on the reef? And that's when I studied and learned about the SS Princess Sophia, and I was like,
Hmm.
"Wow, what a crazy story!" And I'm like, I'm telling this to the other people in navigation and the bridge team, and they're like, "Okay." I'm like, "You don't think that's fascinating?" And they're like, "Yeah, I guess it's kind of cool."
We talked about that accident as well, and another one just recently where people are drowning 100 yards from shore.
Yeah, yeah,
And
and,
there's hundreds of people dying just right next to the shore.
yeah,
So,
exactly.
well, someone will take care of us. Someone will come and get us, and then they don't.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think about. It's like, wow, just everyone on board surrounded by other ships to help them, just everyone on board died. And it was so wild to me. So I didn't even think about it again until COVID came around and I was doing port security and bored out of my mind. I was like, why don't I just start a YouTube channel? Why not? And I was, well, now that's this.
Oh yeah, there wasn't a lot going on in the ports back then, was there?
No, it was very boring. And apparently my job was COVID proof because even if there was nobody coming in or out, I still had to be there. So
yeah, our firm was so busy with people going, how do we get around all of this COVID testing we're supposed to do? You don't, because you'll go to jail if you try.
Right, right.
And some people tried and they went to jail. It was just the ports were so backed up because everybody's got to come in. Everybody has to test. If one person on the ship tests positive, then you got to wait until nobody on the ship tests positive, which is at least 2 weeks, and it could be more depending. And then Korea also instituted this deal where you had to take, all of the crew members had to take a test before leaving whatever port they were coming from. And if they didn't, they just said, you got two choices, go back or sit there forever.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. So yeah, I guess the ports were quite slow then. Are you, is that what you're not doing that anymore, correct?
No, I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah. And with how do you choose which accidents you're going to talk about? Which horrors you're going to talk about? They're not all accidents, I guess.
Well, I have a big dartboard on my wall. No, I'm kidding. Honestly, I have a massive list. And everybody's always, my comments are always full of people saying, oh, do this ship and do this ship. And I have a massive list that I counted it out. And I think if I did a video a week, I would have content for like 5 years. So
I think I need your list because I do a show a week.
Yeah.
Please send me stuff, people.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. If you ask people, I made that mistake once. I was like, hey, so if you got a suggestion, and that's all I ever get in the comments. But I'll go through things and kind of pick and choose. I try not to do too many of the same sort of thing in a row. I've kind of dialed back from like disasters during World War II because, good God, you could just have a channel on just World War II disasters. So I kind of just try to pick and choose. I look through and I'll do a brief like read through on a topic. And if it looks like there's a lot of real good information or it sounds interesting to me, I'll pick that. Or if it's like something people have never heard of, but I can find a lot of information about it, I'll do stuff like that. It's almost random, really. It's just what I'm feeling.
Just something catches your. Is there something that you won't do? Is there any shipping accident or incident that you just will not do?
The Titanic.
Why is that? Let's see if it's the same reason.
It's covered to death. There are channels dedicated solely to the Titanic. There's a blockbuster movie that's 4 hours long dedicated to the Titanic. What can I add to this that nobody else has heard of? That's what I like to do, is like I like to cover a topic so much that even if you're an expert on it, you could go, oh wow, I actually hadn't heard of that. As long as I can get one or two things where people have like, I haven't heard of that, I'm happy. There is nothing in the Titanic that people have not heard of. They have
there was room on that door for Jack too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There was room on that door for Jack.
Yeah, I think at this point you could sit on the Titanic in VR and just wait for it to sink and like see everything in real time. It's so covered that it's pointless to talk about the Titanic.
Yeah, that's one that I just won't do just for lack of interest. Like you said, I mean, just where do you go? And there's, like you said, there's so much out there that if you don't cover something, somebody's going to be upset. If you don't talk about this conspiracy or that conspiracy tied to it, it's going to upset somebody. So they just, like, as you said, there's literally channels dedicated to it.
Yeah.
Just go find it. And they'll talk way more about it than I ever could.
Oh, absolutely.
But for me, the one thing that just on principle I will never touch was the sinking of the Korean ferry, the Sewol.
Okay. Yeah. I've heard of it. Yeah.
I mean, it's something that I encourage everyone else to look at and cover. But for me, it would sort of be kind of like some outsider going and doing a 9/11 thing on the lives of the people that died there. And I mean, but it's still sacred ground. The anniversary is coming up on April 16th. I guess it's been like 6 years now.
Wow. Yeah.
It's been 6 years. I forget which year. I think it was 2016. So I guess it's been like 7 years. But it's still like holy ground here. Koreans don't talk about it. I mean, the lawsuits are still going on around it, and just for some foreigner that's here as a guest of the country that's going to be opining on how much their Coast Guard screwed up, how corrupt the owners are, and how bad they did things. I got nothing to gain at all and literally everything to lose.
Yeah.
So
there's something to be said about recency for my stuff. I think the most recent disaster that I did was 2016, the sinking of the Dongfeng Jijing in China on the Yangtze River. Yeah. I have a thing where it's like I probably won't do anything more recent than like 5 to 10 years, just because like at that point, like nobody from China is going to see my video and be like, hey, why are you talking about my family? But like if I were to do like the Fitz, which, you know, got rammed in 2018 or 2017, 2018, around there. And then I stand a real chance of Americans being like, hey, my brother was on that ship and he died. That's kind of effed up that you're making money off this. I would feel pretty bad about that. So I kind of dance around that, try not to do that too much. So,
well, I mean, that's definitely a consideration that you have to, I mean, you have to think about those things.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think which ship it was I did. It was one of these fishing boats. Was it the Emmy Rose? No, I don't think it wasn't the Emmy Rose. It was the Northern Belle. Anyway, it was one of these ships that it was a shrimp boat, I believe, that was off the Northeast, and that happened to me. I got a comment from someone saying that my ex-husband was the owner of that boat.
Oh,
and I'm like, well, I hope I don't suck now. And it was strange.
That's a tough one.
Well, that was the first time it ever happened to me.
Yeah. I did have a lady message me asking me to talk about a ship that she was on that sank. I was like, okay, yeah, that sounds interesting. What is it? She said, oh, it's the MS Estonia. I was like, oh my God. Yeah, so I still need to get back to her on that, because that would be incredible. She said she was like 10 years old and was on the Estonia when it sank. And I was like, oh my God, that's incredible. You know?
Wow.
Yeah. Talk about luck too. Not a lot of people made it off that. So
wow, that's crazy. I get it. People, you know, my uncle was on this ship, or my uncle, you know, knew someone on that ship.
Yeah.
And I mean, those kind of things happen. Last week we had someone say that their friend's friend was on it, or their friend's daughter was on it. And usually there are those connections, but that was the first time I'd ever had someone say, yeah, you know, my ex-husband owned that boat.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Well, and then of course she said, no, you did a great job, and it was a great thing. And he was divorced before this happened, so I don't really give a shit. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
But it was still kind of awkward.
Yeah, no kidding. God, that is weird.
And recent thing. So that's what I'm afraid to do recent things like that.
Yes.
Too, but we can understand modern accidents so much more because of the technology with the VDR systems and all of the in-depth investigations that go into them now.
Yeah.
But it's still, you're talking about people who are going to be searching, I think, for the accidents and there to see what people are saying about it, you know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I would go back. There's a few YouTube videos of me when I was still a coxswain in the Coast Guard, you know, doing rescues, because you'd get people roll up on their boats and just videotape us saving people. And I would go back and like find them on YouTube to see. And, you know, there's people that are like, you know, are couch coxswaining, and they're like, oh, why is the boat driver doing this? And I'm like, you know, it's funny. But yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. If I was on a big boating disaster, I would look up what people are saying about it and all that. So,
yeah. I mean, so it was kind of, how do you deal with that situation when people go, no, I was on that, or I knew someone that did that? And how do you respond to that?
I have no clue. I mean, one of the videos I did on the Coast Guard small boat in Station Niagara, this was such a huge thing that so many people talked about in the Coast Guard. A lot of our manuals were written because of events that happened during it. And this was like, I want to say 98, somewhere around there, like 98 to 2001. And the Coast Guard would always do TCT, or team coordination training. And it was basically just like, you know, when you got new drivers and you showed them like that video of like all the horrible car accidents and everything to scare them into being good drivers. That's what like TCT was like. They would tell us all of these horrible mishaps that happened. And one of them was the Station Niagara incident. And I remember our first day of A school for becoming bosun mates, we were sitting there talking about the Station Niagara incident. And one of the guys raises his hand and they're like, yes. And he's like, yeah, my dad was the MK3 that died on that boat. And everyone was like, oh, wow. And he was like, yeah, I mean, it's fine. You know, it was a long time ago, but yeah. And everybody's like, okay. And like, nobody knew where to go from there. Somebody said in chat, Faces of Death. Yeah. From the old movie to scare people into being good drivers. But yeah. And nobody really knew Station Viagra. No, Station Niagara. Nobody really knew how to like go from there, because it was like, okay, do we keep talking about this, or, you know? So yeah, it was interesting.
Oh, man, I mean, that's rough.
Yeah.
But I'm glad things like that work out. That there was a murder trial that we covered here for about the past month, about an incident that happened in Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
His name was Zechariah Anderson, and he was charged with killing his ex-girlfriend's new boyfriend out of jealousy, and he was found guilty. And but the evidence was ridiculously slim against this guy, and I whether he did it or not, I don't know, but I just know the prosecution didn't prove beyond a reasonable doubt. But about 4 days into the trial, I had to, you know, I got the DMs from, and I had to do my due diligence and make sure, but his sister, his brother, and his brother's wife were all watching the channel. And then I found out his lawyer was actually kind of watching the channel to decompress after the trial date. So I'm like, holy crap, that was a whole new level of responsibility. But
yeah, no kidding.
It's worked out good, because the brother's my guest tomorrow and the sister's my guest on Wednesday. So
okay.
Kind of worked out. They liked me, so I felt good about that.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Yeah, most of my comments aren't really about me getting information wrong. It's usually just about my pronunciation. Yeah. So, and you know, getting the names of places pronounced wrong because I'm very, very American. But I remember starting
Have you
out.
had people correct that? Have you had people correct your pronunciation?
Oh, tons. Like at least 5% of my comments are about how I mispronounce things. And it's like, I get it. Like, it's like, hey, you said my hometown's name wrong, idiot. And it's like, okay, I feel bad. But I remember starting out,
Indian name that you're never going to be able to pronounce unless you're told by the locals. Yeah.
And I remember starting out, I would get British people, like correcting me on how to pronounce just things that Americans say differently. Like I had one comment that was like, you absolute idiot. It's pronounced aluminium. And I'm like, I don't live in the UK. Like just because you guys made the prime meridian through your country doesn't mean you are the center of the world, you know?
But all you Brits out here, you think you are.
Yeah.
I always get that in my office. It was like, well, in England, this is how the law works. I'm like, well, guess where you're not.
Yeah.
But hey, you know, if I like invented the language we were all speaking, I'd probably do it too.
Fair. Yeah.
Conceptually, how do you go about conceptualizing the work that you do on the channel? How do you storyboard it, or how does it go from your head to the video?
I basically, once I pick a topic, I find and consume as much information on it as possible. I'll usually start, you know, people are really going to hate this. My old high school teachers are going to hate this. I start by reading the Wikipedia article. And people can dog on Wikipedia all they want, but you have to source your information for it to be on there and, you know, accredited and all that. So I will get that for just a rough outline, and then I will find every single book, every single news article. If I can find the mishap reports from the Coast Guard, I'll find those and I'll just read as much about this until I am absolutely sick of it. And then, yeah, usually what I'll do is I'll outline first. So I'll put together, you know, my sections and everything. I'll write a brief synopsis of all that. And then I will go back and I will get as many of the hard facts as I can. So like the dimensions, the dates, the timeline. And then after that, I'll start writing. And one of my friends was like, "Hey, can I see one of your scripts?" And I was like, sure, because they're trying to get into script writing, and they cannot understand my scripts at all because it is literally, it's almost like it's how I talk, not how a script should be written. So because I just read it right off and record that. But yeah, and my handwriting's terrible and I'm very bad at grammar. But because I'm a boat driver, I'm not a writer.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, that's more or less my process.
And how do you go about? Well, there's a couple of, there's like more than a couple. There's a bunch of comments that are just waiting to be made here. Flux was Army. Ha, I like him. We are similar. She's from California as well. Lol. But boo, Coast Guard, go Army.
That's all right. We get the same amount of pay.
Yeah. Legal Vice is limited by shipping lanes at the moment, but if someone were to change the limits, legal or physical, then I'm sure a company would undertake it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, money solves all problems for better or worse, I guess.
Yeah, that's one thing. The Great Lakes are very much restricted by how big a ship can be to fit through the locks. So if they were to build larger locks, they would 100% build larger boats. That's just how it is.
Yeah. Money drives things.
Yeah, exactly.
Turn and Bank says, we just had the icebreaker come in 2 weeks ago in southern Georgian Bay, Ontario.
Oh, very nice.
End of the ice season? Or are we just going to go break it up for the spring?
Yeah, they're opening everything up. So the season's starting.
How long are things shut down normally? I know they're shut down a lot because you got to have the ice road truckers. So you got to drive over the lake. You know,
I think that's Alaska, but the season usually ends end of December, early January. They close the locks and all that, and then it usually opens up around this time, end of March, early April.
Okay, so it goes quite late in the year. That's okay. So it's like three months ish. Things are closed down
around there. Yeah, 3 or 4 months, just long enough for them to go into do their dock sides and their dry docks, and for the companies to not spend that much money, as little as they can.
Well, Wolfman knows what's up. Another day in the Vice Squad. Every paycheck a fortune. Every meal a banquet. Every formation a parade.
Yeah.
You don't hear much, says JKD Buck 76 from the Merchant Marine. I guess that's a good thing. No news is good news.
Yeah, I would say so. If you're hearing news stories about the Merchant Marine, it's usually how they fucked up. So
that's in any industry like this, in any inherently dangerous industry, not hearing things is good news.
Yeah, exactly.
Wolfram, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. That is so deeply appreciated. Here's a suggestion for you, Larax. Larax. Yeah, they dubbed me the Larax because of this, the mustache thing. Do a video on the sinking of the Jules Verne Nautilus.
That's a good one.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Have to wait till next year. Marms, also thank you very much. Dog cam behind a paywall, you monster. I'd suggest a treat dispenser, but they're looking chubby. Well, they're English bulldogs. They're always chubby. That's just kind of. These are actually small ones. Yeah, these only weigh 50 pounds. They should be up around 70 or 80 to be a big one. I'm just kind of happy they're there. And Amanda Shanklin, thank you so much for being a new member. And another one from JKD Buck. My best friend's dad was in the Navy and was on the Midway. He told us every safety rule was written in blood.
Yes, 100%. OSHA wouldn't exist if people didn't die all the time.
Well, and we've talked about the National Transportation Safety Board quite a bit here on the channel, and how they do the most in-depth inquiries and investigations into how accidents happen, who's at fault, what to change, and how to go about revising things. But also, they have zero power to actually do anything.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting. As someone who has filled out mishap reports and worked with the NTSB, they're extremely thorough, and it's surprising. But yeah, as far as like the people that actually pen in the laws, I mean, you would know more than I would, honestly. So.
Yeah, I mean, literally the NTSB, they just get to make suggestions. Here's what we think you should do, and the Coast Guard can say, "Thanks for the idea, but no," or the legislation doesn't have to go through. It's ridiculous that they don't have that authority.
Yeah, and they're way more thorough. If you look at any Coast Guard mishap report, there is one reason in every single mishap, whether it's like this and also this, every single one has loss of situational awareness. So they really like blaming the people on the boat.
Yeah, well, I joke about it quite a bit here on the channel, where you'll get, and I mention this very, very often. I have a book in my office that's about that thick. It's well over 800 pages. It's called Collisions at Sea. How?
That's a good title.
Yeah, it's the whole thing, like airplanes flying in the sky somehow manage to hit each other. Right. Ships out in the middle of nowhere manage to hit each other. Yeah, even though they tend to stick to the shipping lanes, it's not like a 2-lane highway. And when it happens, and you talk to both crew, all 20 plus people of every crew were all staring intently out the window, but nobody saw anything.
Right.
And that was always the problem. But now that we have the black boxes, the VDR, the video, the voyage data recorders, now it's just a matter of time to get those things pulled and downloaded to go, okay, by you were diligently radioing and trying to contact the other ship, you mean you were talking with your friends, playing really loud music and having a party on the bridge. We've got the recording right here.
Exactly. Yep. I did have one comment on my Empress of Ireland video that I loved, of somebody saying, why do boats drive at night? It seems so dangerous. It's like, okay, should we stop all the boats and anchor at night? But I loved that. And it was like,
well, there you go.
Yeah, there's the solution. Just stop driving at night, guys. It's too dangerous.
Parallel Jen says, wait, I tuned in late. Is this guest a Great Lakes guy? This is Maritime Horrors, the proprietor, owner, and content creator for the channel Maritime Horrors that we usually use here that we use quite often on this channel. And he does have a relationship with the Great Lakes.
Yeah.
We want to rehash that for our new joinees.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I spent 5 years at Coast Guard Station Toledo, doing search and rescue and law enforcement. I did a couple deep hull or deep draft vessel inspections and all that. We were guarding the bridges around Toledo. We were guarding the 2 nuclear power plants. We did a lot of fun stuff around Toledo and all that. And I've been around the Great Lakes with other things that I was doing. So yeah, a lot of experience with the Great Lakes. Coming from California, it's a little weird. I never really expected to spend half my Coast Guard career in a lake, but hey, it is what it is.
Jillian Ann says, I couldn't post this on Friday. Many thanks to Julie O for the doggo cam then. Strawberry made Yoda break out of the house so he wouldn't have to. I'd add more to the tale when the doggone camera is on or shortly thereafter. We're getting close to the doggo cam, which one of them
are they sitting in the engineering seat? Is that them in the engineering seat?
Yeah, they're yeah. Dogs are my co-pilots here.
Yeah.
Where does this put us? We're not doing too shabby. All right. Thanks, guys. Your generous donations are always appreciated. And well, if it does happen, we'll have to find the other dog. But just about clicked end broadcast. We don't want to do that.
Oh, yeah.
About 10 minutes from now, I want to start the main video we're going to be looking at today. We're going to be doing an in-depth dive on the destruction of the ship Nostromo with the guy who created the video, so we can get we can know what's on the cutting room floor. We
Hey,
can get the
yeah.
details that weren't added there. That's what I like about these. We get to the things that you don't get to put in the videos, or the things that you regret not being able to put in videos. What is there something it just didn't work out for time or flow or formatting reasons?
No, I mean, I usually pick clean pretty much all of the information I can on any subject. The Nostromo actually had a ton of information on it, and I was very happy. I think just because how old the franchise is and like
Mhm.
how well loved it was. There's technical manuals on it. There's legal document like fake legal documents on it. I have a book called the Wayland Yutani Corps. That's all it is, and it's oh no the Wayland Yutani Report, and it's like a fake legal document on the history of the Wayland Yutani Corporation. And it's got tons of information in that. There's Aliens Colonial Marines, the technical manual, and it just breaks down
Wow.
everything about it, and it's got information on it. So like I get tons of really good information. When I did the video on the Pillar of Autumn before that,
Mhm.
that one also had a bunch of technical information. There was a whole book that had like cutouts of like all of the ships from Halo. So I get
Cool.
a ton of information. This most recent one I did from the ship from Dead Space, the Ishimura, it was famine. There was no feast for that. I had to dig so hard to get even scraps of information. I don't even have like the full like dimensions of the ship because they put out so little information. So the next time I do one of these sci-fi videos, I really got to pick and choose like what ships I do, because things like Star Wars or Star Trek, like you put out like, oh,
Yeah.
well, this engine was made by, Detroit, whatever, and they eat it up. They love it. But other lesser known sci-fi, they're like, I don't know what the engines, who made the engines, who cares, you know?
But I think you run the risk with Star Trek and Star Wars that you make one
Oh,
wrong statement and you're gonna get
yes.
crushed. You're gonna get ratioed to death.
Yes, exactly. Because like people that watched Alien, they're like, "Oh, I like the creepy, giant monster." Oh, I didn't know Rolls Royce made the engines, but like, God forbid I mispronounce something from Star Wars, and it's like,
Yeah.
you're done. It's over for you. Pack up, kid. You're done.
We got Marv White here saying $5 dono, but I pledge like Amber Heard, the other 75. Can we open the doggo cam now? Eventually, we're almost there. I don't want to wake up to a cargo ship coming through my house, so please anchor at night.
Fair.
Well, there was a this is just another one of these dumb stories. And I think this was just kind of stupid foreigners here in Korea that probably never should have been able to leave their own country before they inflicting themselves on another nation. Um, one of the largest yachts, the motor vessel A, owned by a Russian oligarch. It's this
Oh, okay.
gigantic ship. It's got I think 3 support vessels that it can load onto. I mean, it's just huge.
Wow.
And I think it's just this distortion that you get when you see something that big. It looks like it's really close, but it's not. It's just that big.
Yeah.
There's a bridge. I don't know if you've seen the video or heard the case of the drunk Russian captain that drove into a bridge here in Korea.
Oh God, no.
Oh, that's a cool video. That's
Okay.
kind of what started this. Like I said, I was just showing shipping accident videos that very first time I had nothing to talk about, and it's just this clip I was playing is like the 15 whatever accidents, which they're never really the whatever they say they are.
Right.
Like the
Right.
greatest accidents ever, the most horrifying. You're like, not really.
Yeah.
I've seen worse. But one of them was a clip of this Russian captain sort of driving his boat into this bridge here. And I went, "Oh, that's my case. We worked on that. I know that. I know exactly what happened."
Oh,
And it was
that's
kind of fun.
cool. Yeah.
But yeah, so there was that, but then this yacht anchored near the bridge, but it was so big. I think 3 different foreigners called the police and said that they were afraid that the ship was going to collide with their building if it
Yeah.
came any closer. And you're like, no.
Jeez. No.
it was, and they're putting on Facebook. Oh my God, it's so dangerous. And I'm like, it's a mile away.
Yeah.
It wasn't really a mile. It was more like 500 yards away.
Right.
But, it's not going to hit your stupid apartment on the other side of the beach.
Did that end up being like gross negligent ops with the drunk captain?
Oh yeah, he was drunk. He got convicted here.
See,
but we were good because he just did this thing. There was this tiny little like scrapyard berth that the idea was to be pulled out by a tug from the berth, and then as you leave the port to turn. He was supposed to turn south, so you go around the bend and then turn back up north and go up to Vladivostok.
Okay.
But he just kind of pulled out and sort of did this U-turn he turned to port instead of starboard, and that put him towards the beach. And actually, I'm thinking it's pretty lucky he hit the bridge where he did, because if he'd gone a couple of spans down, he would have gone under the bridge and he would have ended up on the beach. So it was good that it stopped him. But as he was making this U-turn, he clipped 2 yachts, and we represented the yacht owners. So
gotcha.
So we made bank on that one. Well, I made my boss rich. That's kind of what happened.
Oh, there you go. Someone made money.
I made my boss rich, and I got to keep my job. So I guess that's a win-win.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I find on this channel is it's like most people are like looking for someone to blame, and it's like, oh, gross negligent operations. They weren't. Most of the time, in a lot of these cases, it's a real thin line between who was at fault, and like if you were on the bridge at the time, you're like, I could see making that same mistake. It's not a blatant mistake all the time. Like, oh, this guy's just an idiot. It's like with the information that they had at the time, it ended up going bad. So,
like, I guess just for giggles, we can do this. Where are we at here? Let's see, we can remove that right now. Share this screen over here. Yeah, this is when he's just about completing the U-turn.
Oh my God.
The pier is actually kind of the camera is focused way in on, but if you zoom the camera back out to where it should be, I think this camera was right near or at the pier when this happened. But we got copyrighted music on here, so we have to mute it. But yeah, this happened.
Man, you don't even see any like, oh, there's the backing force right there. So he's now applying the brakes.
Yeah, and that's not that far.
No.
And like I told people, if the camera just panned about an inch to the left, that would be where my house is.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And my office is about 4 inches to the left of that. And so I was getting all these calls. Did you see what happened? Did you see what happened? And then I was like, no. People started sending me pictures, and I'm like, oh, great, here we go.
Man,
time to go to work, folks.
Imagine being one of the cars on the bridge right there.
I actually had a friend. I actually had a friend that was going this way.
Oh God!
Right after this hit. But of course, watch what the car does. This is so Korean. They kind of slow down for a minute. They go, all right, just keep moving. Nothing to see here.
Well, they got places to be.
But yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, it just folds over that foremast. Yeah.
This car right here was my friend.
Oh wow.
This white car right here.
That's so funny.
And then they stopped to make sure.
They stop to make sure the bridge isn't going to collapse, and then they just go to work.
and they just keep on driving. It's from the I'm probably getting copyright strike there. But there you can see it in color, a little bit closer.
Oh yeah. Oh, run!
This guy's like, I think it's time to leave.
Oh God.
And let's see if there's what. Yeah, that's what it did to the bridge.
Oh, that's not bad. That'll buff out.
$4 million, I think.
That'll buff out. Don't worry about that one, Captain. We'll get some Neverdale. It'll be fine.
Yeah, they don't have the video from the bridge. Dang it.
Ah,
Oh, that's too bad. There's video from the bridge where you just hear you can learn some new Russian curse words watching that
yeah.
video. But he was a
I know.
little intoxicated. I believe it was somewhere around 3 times the legal limit.
I know a bit of Russian, and I know some Russian curse words. We were patrolling the EEZ between the U.S. and Russia, and so we
Cool.
had a lot of experience with Russian fishermen trying to illegally fish in U.S. waters. If you go to the EEZ, there is usually a constant line of Russian trawlers. As long as there's a Coast Guard boat there, there's a constant line of Russian trawlers just going back and forth along the line, waiting for that Coast Guard cutter to leave so they can fish illegally.
And that I'm sure they cross over and we cross over occasionally too, I would imagine.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I remember we actually chased a South
There's the
Korean
doggo
boat.
cam. I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
Yoda is missing in action. I think Yoda just got tired and fell asleep on the sofa in the living room.
That's cute.
So there, that makes people happy. We give them the doggo cam there.
Yeah. That's nice.
Let's get through a few of these comments here. And
Okay.
no, I'm sorry, dog. You can't lay down here by me. You have to be on camera. Make you work for your food now. Where are we at here? Timothy Schultz. Hey, a local boy. I live in Toledo too. We also have the Great Lakes Museum here as well.
That's true. Yep.
Thank you so much for that super chat. And thank you, AA Ron. Coast Guard helo pilots are insane.
That's why I didn't do it.
They got balls.
Yeah.
You can't argue that. And too often we hear that in some of these cases we cover where people go out to rescue. They rescue the people, but they don't come home themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, it's literally something that you give your life. You at least put your life at risk for other people, total strangers. You want to get them back to their family and try to get back to your family as well. And sometimes it doesn't work out.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, so you bless those guys because I don't have the balls for it to go out in that weather and do those things. And I'm kind of like, I don't want to dangle from my helicopter.
No.
I'll prefer to be inside of it.
Yeah. I steer clear of helicopters. As my old deck chief used to say, there's more planes in the sea than there are boats in the sky.
Can't argue with that one.
Yeah, right.
Oh, hey, we got Steph, the Alter Nerd sighting. Hey, Steph, what's up, girl? And we've got Jane's Disorder, my bacon strip sizzling. I hope that's not a euphemism for something. I hope you're just making breakfast. Doral, thank you so much. Doggo Cam, happy Monday, everybody. Hi, Vice and guest. Well,
Hello.
And Wolfram, people fearing ships running into buildings reminds me of the World War II sub that sank a train. I do not know about a World War II sub that sank a train.
I'll have to look that one up.
Jay Doe making me feel smart here. Jeff is asking exactly what I'm wondering. Well, I'm asking him these questions because I'm fascinated by it too, and I'm curious. I got the same questions you have because I'm equally interested. And Agony Goose, your boat laws don't apply here, Maritime Horror. You will speak the King's English on the internet.
I refuse. I cite
And
1776.
Oh, yeah. We won. Sour Cream. Hey, Maritime, ever plan on covering the sinking of the Wilhelm Gustloff? I believe you've already covered the Donna Paz disaster. Horrific stuff.
Yeah, I did cover the Danya Paz. But yeah, I plan on doing the Wilhelm Gustloff. That's such a huge one. Like it's kind of weird that it's not more famous than it is. But yeah, that's definitely on the list.
And I think this is the last one before we jump into the video. Jeff's friend, the bridge didn't collapse. I go to work now. Pretty much. That's what everybody on the bridge seemed to do. Just go, all right. Yeah, we've seen things. This is normal. This is not my problem. We're still safe. So let's go to work. Now with that, the thing that I want to do here to take us through the end of a program is to watch the scuttling of the Nostromo with the guy who created the video and provide our normal Maritime Monday analysis and comments, this time with the guy who has much more information than me. And we can fill in the details. All right. So I've already taken that video down, so we need to bring it right back up. and organize Doggo Cam. Make sure they're out of the way. Well, one of them's intentionally out of the way, sleeping on the couch. Righto. There we go. Let's kick this off. And what if you got anything to say, any remarks you want to make, just start talking and I'll pause it and I'll do the same.
Absolutely. Sounds good.
So that's why I love a well-made video like the videos you make. I can take a 17-minute video and turn it into a 2.5-hour show if I have to, because there's so much information packed there that it makes my job easy.
Yeah, I've had people tell me my videos have too much information. I had someone tell me on the Empress of Ireland, they're like, just tell the story. You don't need the vast details. Okay. Oh.
Yeah. People tell me to shut up all the time. Oh, are you there? Your microphone broke up.
Oh, I should be here.
Oh, there you are. Okay. There you are. Cool. We get you. You was just kind of choppy there for a split second. Oh my gosh. Did you watch the Lord of the Rings thing on
the newest one? Rings of Power?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
We have these things here. People always saying we have does your guest agree the sea is always right?
Okay. Are we talking about that clip where the guy says the reason rocks sink is they look towards the downwards, but the reason boats float is they look upwards or something?
And they do that stupid chant. Ugh.
Yeah. Oh God. That show is not good. I don't know if anybody here likes that show. I didn't like that show. It sucked.
They just throw this. The sea is always right. The sea is always just because they know it just makes the blood pressure go up.
Yep. Well, the sea is always right. So.
Yep. No, the Ring of Power Amazon show. That's what we were trying to think of.
Yeah.
That was so bad.
Oh, not good. Not good.
I was a huge Tolkien fan. It just made my skin crawl. Mr. K, I will block you. You just don't push me. Don't push me. All right. We need to get down to business here.
All right.
The Nostromo.
June 3rd, 2122. The crew of the commercial tug USCSS Nostromo are awoken from their hypersleep during their return trip from Thetis to Earth. But instead of finding themselves back in the Sol system, they were instead in the Zeta Reticuli system, on course to a distress signal emanating from a nearby planetoid classified only as LV-426.
Okay, now this is an interesting thing. Is we don't, some places require you to do it, but on land you don't really in most places have an obligation to stop and help someone out if there's an accident.
Right. Yeah.
And if you do, you actually take on a lot of responsibility. If you decide you're going to stop and help someone or render aid, you need to render aid until they're safe usually, and you can't make their situation worse. So you're actually better if you just kind of ethically and legally things may be different, but at sea you are required by law to do anything you can to respond to a distress signal.
That's correct. Yeah. If you detect a distress signal and you don't render assistance, you are going to get in trouble if you get found out. So we assume that space is under maritime law as well. So
yeah,
you have a duty to respond.
I like how that developed. It's like ships in space, so we may as well just apply the same law.
Yeah. A fun thing, a few seconds, those coordinates that I put, if you asked me to give you those coordinates again, I could not tell you how I got those. I'll be honest. I think those are...
I love nerds. Nerds make my reading so much better because I don't have to do it.
Exactly. I'm like, that's like two numbers that vaguely look like Latin longs. I don't know how I got those. I would have to research that. Maybe that's the coordinates on the planet, probably. Like LV-426, maybe. I can't remember how I got those.
Bad Weather Biker said the sub that sank the train was the USS Barb. It was one of the most decorated subs of World War II.
All right, yeah, I'll look more into that.
Yeah, I'd never heard of that. And then Wolfram throwing another $10. Thank you so much for that. It was the USS Barb. They actually sent a raiding party ashore and planted explosives to blow up the Japanese train. The meme is that they sank it with a torpedo.
Gotcha.
Okay. Well, now I'm getting more and more interested in this.
Yeah.
And Kaiser Pineapple, who also has a great little channel. Go check out Kaiser Pineapple and show him some love. Legal Advice, interesting fact, Zeta Reticuli is supposedly where the real-life UFO was from that Bob Lazar claimed to have worked on in the Area S4 for the U.S. government.
Huh. Okay.
Bob Lazar is a cool story. He's like literally a guy that's talking about Area 51 and working on UFOs and things when he has literally nothing to gain from it and doesn't want fame and fortune and just wants to be left alone. Yeah, Bob Lazar is kind of a cool character. The Fat Electrician covered the USS Barb. Well, I didn't know there was a fat electrician on YouTube, but now I do. I love learning about new channels from people.
Yeah.
But what we were talking about was this duty that exists in virtually every section of international maritime law and in laws of the sea is you must render aid if you are at all capable. And you have to do whatever you can, even if it's relaying a message to another ship. Whatever you can do to assist, you have to do. And we're talking if you have to delay a day or two, some of the daily hire on these ships are in the tens of thousands of dollars.
Oh yeah.
So a day out and a day back on to get on course could literally cost you $30,000 or $40,000 or even double that for some of these huge tankers. But he's talking about you said you were doing some salvage work. That's one thing we get to do. If you do have to help out, but you also get to claim all of your losses and expenses. And
yes, salvage rights are huge. Yeah.
And we don't know if we probably don't want to get nerdy enough to get into general average calculations, but we might talk about it a little bit later.
Yeah.
But so they have a duty. The Nostromo had a duty to go and answer this distress call, which they did. So we're off to a really good start.
What occurred over the next 24 hours would result in the deaths of nearly every crew member of the Nostromo, as well as the intentional scuttling and destruction of the entire vessel and her towed ore and petroleum refinery. The United States cargo starship, or USCSS Nostromo, was built in 2101 on Earth and registered in the U.S. state of Panama. The vessel was a Juggernaut M-class faster-than-light commercial tug. Its construction was based upon a Lockheed Martin CM-88B Bison transport ship. In 2116, the vessel, under contract with the Weyland-Yutani Mega Corporation, went through a massive refit. She was converted from a transport vessel into a commercial towing vessel. Her original Saturn.
See, now we've talked about this, like with the duck boat number 7 and a bunch of other cases.
Yes.
You've got to be very careful when you retrofit things, when you make things bigger, when you make things smaller, because you can really, really screw up the stability of the ship.
Yeah. And things like the Eastland back in, the early 1900s and all that, they would add and subtract things. And back then, for a long time, you didn't have the exact calculations and models and everything to really understand how that affected the stability until you got out and went, oh, wow, the stability on this is kind of fucked. So,
yeah, well, we covered the Eastland. We used the Ask a Mortician. I don't know if you've ever seen her channel. She does some really cool stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
She did this and she got age restricted. And so I sort of did that. I used her video, sort of solidarity, and I got that video age restricted as well because it showed some coffins. But yeah, that was, for those of you that have seen it and might remember it, this is the one where it was so screwed up that it just rolled over in the river in the Chicago River. So we talked about it, like I said, with the Duck Boat 7 and these other cases where you start adding things, you totally change the weight, which changes the stability of the ship. And I would assume, I don't know if aerodynamics is really a thing in space, but the maneuverability, you have to be very, very careful. And you can be using different types of steel that may or may not weld well together. Rivets can pop. So you got to be very, very careful when you're screwing around with adding, subtracting, enlarging, or decreasing the size of things.
Right. And yeah, I mean, Lockheed Martin invented created the Nostromo. They had models and everything. They had programs to calculate everything, stability, drag, all of that, in atmosphere, out of atmosphere. And then you were essentially taking what was a well-formulated machine and turning it into a tugboat. So,
Yeah, and tugboats, just by their nature, are just dirty little warthogs of ships. I mean, they're just meant to power through things.
It's a little fender with a freighter engine in it.
Yeah, and I mean, they're not pretty to look at. They're just there to be strong and do their job.
Exactly. Yep.
J3000 sublight engines were replaced by two massive Rolls-Royce N66 Cyclone thrust tunnels.
And see, that's exactly something that we saw as a problem in the Duck Boat 7. They took out these smaller engines from this World War II era ship and put a V8 engine in it.
Yeah.
I've
been on World War II era ducks. They are not fast on water or out. They are not fast. Nothing from the 40s was particularly fast, but duck boats were not designed to go 10, 15 knots. They're like 6 or 7 knots. They're very slow.
And V8 engines don't help with that problem at all.
No.
So we're getting the same thing here. We're putting this gigantic engine into this retrofitted, relatively small ship to give it more power, I guess.
Yeah.
Drastically changing the look of the vessel. The final price tag of the vessel and her towed refinery being around $46 million.
This is one of these cool dated things where back when they were making this in the 80s, they had no idea that $42 million doesn't get you much of an ocean-going ship these days.
No, not at all.
This is one of the signs. Like 500 years from now, we're going to have these weird little flip phone-looking communication devices in Star Trek, or these 3¼ inch things that can store computer memory on. 500 years in the future, we just don't know what the future is going to bring.
They did well enough because I do like the fact that it's like, oh, this is a Lockheed Martin, spaceship, and these are Rolls-Royce engines. It's like, it's 100 years in the future. These companies are probably still going to be around. But yeah, there's a few things where it's like, okay, this was definitely made in the 70s.
It's like putting a pit bull head and brain on a chihuahua shaking hate-filled body. Wow.
Wow.
There's an image for you. Thanks.
Yeah, yikes.
JKD Buck. And while we're there, during 1804 says the movie Alien was based loosely on a cheesy 50s B movie called It, The Terror from Beyond Space. I love those old movies from the 50s. They were so cool. And Yoda used the Force. Yeah. Yoda used the Force to open the door to Jeff's house, much to Strawberry's shock and delight. She asked, "Why did you choose now to use your powers?" Yoda's just kind of dumb. So Yoda's just has to take care of the universe. And Corn Pop, thank you so much for the sticker. I saw you had to leave, so you probably still aren't here, but thanks anyway. Deeply appreciate that. And the daily quick bites. As for Nostromo, the closest parallel under maritime law is an infectious disease aboard. Only this disease was bipedal and bled acid, among other unpleasant habits. Oh, we'll get to that part of the story here in just a bit.
The vessel now used to transport massive automated refineries from the inner core worlds in and around the Sol system to the outer rim of 20 Reticuli. The vessel was an impressive 1,095 feet or 335 meters in length, 705 feet or 215 meters at the beam, and had a 320-foot or 98-meter draft. It weighed in at a staggering 63,000 tons displacement. After a refit, the pair of thrust tunnels, the reactor core, and storage took up the majority of the vessel's space. Made in a 6-10-4 configuration, this left it with only 3 pressurized decks for the crew to live and work in. But this would hardly lead to a claustrophobic living environment. Seeing as the entire vessel was run by a crew of 7, and a majority of the trip the crew would be in hypersleep, a type of suspended animation in which aging is prevented by slowing the rate of cellular regrowth.
And see, this is actually something that's probably, the putting people into hypersleep is probably way in the future, but unmanned ships are actually becoming a thing now.
Yeah. Which
We've
is
got
terrifying.
what, two or three unmanned ships out there now, I think.
Yeah. And it's
Two that I can think of.
I have mixed feelings about that. Being a merchant mariner and all that, like I don't know, the difference between, a self-driving car where there's someone on board, at least to take care of everything. And like I don't know that you could just have a drone ship. I mean, Rule 6, you need a lookout, and I don't know that an array of sensors is an accurate replacement for 2 human eyeballs. So,
Well, yeah, and I mean it's creating some really interesting things in the field of law, where at least you can say, okay, this crewman screwed up. Either the duty officer made a mistake, the engineer wasn't watching his duties. You can point the finger at someone and go, therefore the owners are responsible.
right.
But with an unmanned vessel, or a vessel, I guess, where someone's in cryo sleep forever,
Yeah.
do you blame the ship owner? Do you blame the software manufacturer?
You blame the AI.
Blame
You
the
say,
data? Yeah, the data entry
say-
person. Who takes the blame?
you say naughty computer and you throw it in jail, Naughty processor, you did that wrong.
Yeah, and how does an unmanned ship fulfill its legal duty to respond to distress calls? There's an interesting philosophical question.
Yeah, exactly.
The first time one of these unmanned ships is involved in an accident is going to open up an amazing legal can of worms.
Oh yeah.
It is just utterly uncharted territory.
Yeah. And then, you got to ask, okay, if, there's a baby in the middle of the ocean, does it swerve to miss the baby and hit a bridge, or does it hit the baby,
Yeah.
It's the whole AI thing,
That's an even deeper thing here. Deether says, remember that planes are unmanned most of the time. Pilots are here to check if everything is going right and onto land and take off illegal devices. So a boat is not really a problem, I think. No, these are ships with nobody on them.
Yeah. Completely
Like
different.
they're empty. They're totally automated ships. That's kind of spooky to me. I've seen Terminator. I know what happens when we start doing that.
Exactly.
Ask Hal.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that. Well, so
Why
that
is
that
there
would
a
be
bridge and a baby in the middle of the ocean? It's a hypothetical. It happens all the time.
Why wouldn't there be?
Yeah, right.
Have an open mind about these things. Flux says, "Hey, this dude sounds like the guy in the video."
Yeah, he's a good relative of mine.
back in the way back in the day, like 88 to 91, I worked as a radio announcer. So I've always been used to hearing my own voice. Did that take you a while to get used to?
It's still weird.
Is it?
I was watching your stream and listening to myself, and I'm like, it's so weird. I don't know. I feel like we have an impression of what we think we sound like, and then you hear it, and you're like, oh, that's me, huh? Okay.
No, so it's still, even after a couple of years, is kind of odd to you, huh?
Oh yeah, still.
All right. All right. I guess we can jump back into this here. Yep, we certainly can.
While sublight propulsion was handled by the 2 Rolls-Royce N66 Cyclones, faster-than-light travel was facilitated by 4 Yutani T-78 NLS star drive towers. These tachyon shunts were capable of speeds of around half a light year per sidereal day, or the time it took for the Earth to rotate in correlation to the background stars around it.
That's
but when hauling the large refinery,
I apparently have no idea how to pronounce sidereal. It's not sidereal. I thought it was sidereal. I don't even know what that means, but apparently it's the amount of time it takes for the Earth to rotate around the sun. But
I call that a year.
Yeah.
I call it a year. I don't know what anyone else calls it.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but I read it. I was like, okay, sidereal, but that's not right. And that was another thing that a bunch of the comments were like, "You absolute fool, you mouth breathing knuckle dragger. That's not how you say that." So.
I just
look, man. I don't know anything about space. I'm not an astrophysicist.
Like, I just love that all these comments you're getting on your amazing videos where you pronounce this wrong. And
Yeah. And my
it's like, that's what you
girlfriend,
got out of this.
yeah, see, somebody says sidereal. Okay. Yeah. And my girlfriend's like, do they not care about like the other 17 minutes of information? They care about the fraction of a second where you mispronounce something. So
Well, and you know, I get that all the time during the live chats. And like, I try never to, on purpose or intentionally, inject facts into anything I say. If I do say something factual, it's just purely by accident. There's always someone that knows way more than I do about whatever it is I'm talking about.
oh,
I'm
absolutely.
just glad that I don't suck on everything I say. So, yeah. Thanks for your input. I learned something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And have you gotten the statement, well, you pronounced sidereal wrong, I'm unsubscribing?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Somebody's like, this is literally unwatchable. You pronounce this wrong. I'm like, you're basing that off of 2 seconds of content. There's another like 45 minutes to this video.
JKD Buck, does Optimus Prime buy automobile insurance like a vehicle or a life insurance like a person? I see you trying to derail us there.
Yeah.
Daily Quick Bites. Legal Vice's Nostromo's mother AI was programmed to alert the crew to anomalies. That's why they woke up. They woke when the distress signal was picked up. Yes, we will get there too. Fondin, Blade Runner, Soldier with Kurt Russell, and Alien are all set in the same universe. I've heard that theory.
Okay.
It's an interesting theory.
Yeah.
And I really, really wish they would make the next couple of Alien movies.
After Covenant and
you didn't
the
like
other
those,
one.
Huh?
Like
it was better
they
than
were all
Winona
right.
Ryder in space.
What's that?
It was better than Winona Ryder in space.
Fair. Yeah. They were okay. They weren't incredible. They weren't Alien and Aliens.
Well, I like the whole idea of the engineers seeding planets. And then we did something. They just decided, sorry, you can't be alive anymore. And I want to know what we did that they sent the xenomorphs after us.
I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question. Probably the original Star Wars trilogy. I'm sure they saw that, and that was it. Yeah.
Like, here you go. Yeah, you made the prequels. You got to go. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. They saw Jar Jar Binks, and they're like, humans are done. We're done.
Yeah. That's probably what happened. Hunch the Dirty Roofer. Bigger question with the unmanned ships. What insurance companies will be willing to cover, millions of dollars of cargo with no one aboard? Well, so you bank on there not being accidents. Insurance premiums are pretty damn high on these ships.
Oh man, and don't take them to the east coast of Africa or the Straits of Malacca. Because do you think pirates aren't going to target an unmanned ship? Oh, hell yeah, they are.
Oh, yeah. I hadn't even thought of that.
Oh, yeah.
So this is a whole new world here. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with these as we go forward, these plans. Which I just think it's a classic example of just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of which, I forgot my prop. Hang on.
Jeez.
My lovely tobacco pipe.
Derna 1804, you can at least defend an unmanned ship with nerve gas. Wow, you're playing hardball.
There you go.
You are an intruder.
You just trip the sensor and they just electrifies the whole ship and nerve gases people. I like that.
They just have like Indiana Jones Aztec temple booby traps on it. You step on a stone and it sinks in and darts come out of the wall.
Now, for those of you that don't know how thrilled I am to have Maritime Horrors on this channel and how big of an alien honk I am, we're lighting up the xenomorph pipe I have here. We can't see that. It's too dark here. Let me bring up the phone. Where's the phone flashlight? Oh, it's about to drop the phone.
Turn up the lights on the bridge.
Yeah, so we've got the xenomorph pipe here that is pretty damn cool. The other side going here.
I
love this pipe.
My girlfriend loves Alien. She has a mouse pad that it's a xenomorph, and then the spot where you rest your wrists are two face hugger eggs for like wrist support.
Oh, I want it.
Yeah,
I want it. And like the tamper for the tobacco is the alien's tail.
very nice. Very nice.
Yeah. So yeah, I like my alien pipe. Guy in Turkey, like a master pipe carver in Turkey, made it.
Very nice.
Well, he's Turkish, but he lives in Azerbaijan. And Let's Go Brandon says, you know you suck on everything, especially when on that hill we all hold dearest in our hearts. I'm not even going to try to decipher that one, sir.
Those were words. I believe they were English.
And I Let's Go Brandon, and he makes me nervous a lot.
Oh, he's got
Jillian
a picture
Ann,
of Florida, man. So
yeah. Jillian Ann, love Maritime Horrors' take on the alien movies, Jeff. Yours are mostly, though not entirely, blasphemy.
oh wow.
You gotta like the sequels. Gotta like them. Well,
Thoughts
see,
on
again,
Alien 3? Yeah.
Well, Alien 3, that was the Winona Ryder in space. You didn't.
Yeah.
I hope she's not saying she liked that.
No, I wasn't a fan of that one. I love Alien and Aliens. The newer ones, hit or miss.
Well, Alien 4 was kind of okay with Ripley clone.
Oh God, I completely forgot about that one. Sheesh.
But did you read the original write-up for Alien 3? Where it's supposed to be a prison planet. There's a write-up of this. How the director, they just said, sorry, you can't direct this movie. Because the idea was it was a giant planet made of wood. They'd made a planet made of wood. Okay. And it was a bunch of like Jesuit priests or like Jesuit monks that were having like farms in space inside this planet. And then one of the aliens got loose in the planet and started killing everyone. And I mean, the producers go, now look, how would you build a planet out of wood in space? And why wouldn't you just build it on the planet where you're getting the wood from? Oh, and what happens if you have a fire?
You cut down all of this wood off this other planet just to make a new one.
Yeah, it's a really, really wild read. It really just search for the original write-up, the original treatment for Alien. It's weird.
When Hollywood producers are going, that doesn't make much sense. That's when you know you're not making much sense.
And see, this is what I mean by I can take a 17-minute video and turn it into 3 hours. We're 3 minutes into this. We've been going like 40 minutes.
It was often laden with, this speed would drop down to about 1/10 of a light year per day. Still impressive, but it would lengthen the trips back to Earth significantly. The Rolls-Royces were mass reaction engines. The mass used to fuel them was water, meaning a large bit of space on the ship were tanks full of mass water. The engines were each capable of generating 65,830 metric tons of thrust. Combined, it produced 131,000.
Oh wait, Winona's in 4, not 3. I thought she was the third one. Oh, God, now you're confusing me.
Don't make me go back and watch those.
The first one was the first one. It was the Space Marines in Newt in 2.
Yep.
Then I thought
Ripley was in 2 as well. Yeah.
No, 3 was the prison planet, and then 4 was okay. So 4 was Winona. All right, that makes sense. All right, yeah, I got 3 and 4 mixed up. All right. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy specializes in planet building. That's right. They could have done that. That maybe that's in the same universe too.
Yeah, probably.
We have Slarty Bartfast design the wooden planet. All right. Well, yeah, Resurrection sucked. I say what, it didn't suck as what. Yeah, it did. All right, but I like the idea of corporate, bigwigs still trying to weaponize something that has literally destroyed everyone in the last 3 attempts they've made.
Have you played Alien Isolation? Because I have seen it brought up.
I haven't.
Oh, that is it. It is as close to the movie as you can get in a video game, because they've tried with like the Colonial Marines and all that. They've had a few games that were
Yeah.
okay, some were better than others. Alien Isolation just it pins down the atmosphere so well. It's horrifying because there's no way to you're not just shooting waves of aliens like in Aliens. It captures the feel of Alien where it's just this unkillable murder machine chasing you, and you can just hide from it pretty much.
Does it kind of have that Dead Space, like something's lurking around the next corner out in space vibe, or is it different?
Yes, if you took away Isaac Clarke's laser cutter, because you can't do anything about it. If this thing sees you, just kiss your ass goodbye. You're dead.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's great. It's awesome. Very good stuff.
And well, speaking of that, we forgot to do our midstream poll here to check and see what people are. We've got 514 viewers here now and 478 likes. That's a really darn good ratio. It must be because I have a high quality guest on. How's the poll coming out? Did you like and subscribe? Did you smash the like and subscribe buttons for Maritime Monday? 18% of you said I did. This is not alien to me. 22% of you have said yes, but no one can hear you scream. 29% of you says I did. No, it's game over, man. And 31% of you said, yeah, I got you, you son of a bitch. So there we go. We'll check and see how it ends up. Please keep hitting the like and subscribe button. And whatever you do, if you have not subscribed to the Maritime Horrors channel, get over there and subscribe. The link is in the description. The mods have been throwing it up all night. Get over there and subscribe to him, because without his channel, we wouldn't have had 5 of my favorite videos. Absolutely does some cool stuff, and there's an open invitation to any Maritime Monday. You are welcome here.
I appreciate it. Yeah,
and you just go and support these guys. They make these amazing videos that I could never even conceive of or pull off in any realm of possibility. So give them the props they deserve and subscribe to the channel and find out more Maritime Horrors. Yeah, Bill Paxton is really dead now.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Conan the Barbarian. Too soon.
Yep. Rip Bill
660 kill.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said rip Bill Paxton.
Yeah.
Kilonewtons of high impulse thrust at full power. The power plant on board was a Laratel WF-15 2.8 terawatt fusion reactor. The reactor utilizes deuterium tritium as its reaction fuel and contains it utilizing reaction lasers. It generates power by superheating liquid potassium and drawing power from the magnetic fields off of this. The liquid potassium is also used to cool off the reactor. In case of an emergency scuttling, the cooling system is closed off and separated from the core, causing it to melt down and explode.
So that
the communications and sensory...
I sound far more intelligent than I am. I didn't understand any of that when I was reading it. It was all mid-Atlantic Egyptian to me. I just read it off the page. I'm like, yeah, that sounds smart, doesn't it? And it was...
I was going to ask you to explain that engine here in just a second.
Absolutely not. I refuse. It's something about potassium, so I'm guessing there's bananas in there. I think they said something about a laser. So you put 2 and 2 together, you get an engine. There you go.
That works.
Yeah. I scarcely understand the engines on the boats that I help run.
I don't have any knowledge of science or engines to counter that argument, so I guess I'll have to go with it.
There you go.
Sigourney Weaver is several years older than Madonna and looks way better because she's aging naturally.
Yeah.
She's not a box of Lucky Charms. Artificial flavors, artificial ingredients. Yeah. It's a giant Mr. Fusion. Just used a lot of banana peel, says David.
Yeah, exactly.
Suite on board was top of the line. On the bow of the Nostromo was a 10-meter long antenna for long-range interstellar communications and a smaller 4-meter antenna for shorter-range UHF, VHF, and HF radio and video communications. There were several other sensors clustered around the bow, including a pair of 2-meter telescopes, these telescopes being capable of optical, spectrographic, and infrared detection and mapping. Also in the sensory suite, was a gas chronograph for atmospheric analysis, an advanced centrometric navigational radar, and a regular landing radar. For in-atmosphere flight, there was a synthetic aperture ground mapping radar, and for long range, there was a mass counter for superlight or faster-than-light navigation.
Now you're going to hear about the massive memory that this futuristic starship has.
Yeah.
The massive amount of computing backup memory.
Most impressive on board would likely be the ship's central processor, an MUTHUR 6000 2.1 terabyte AI mainframe.
Wow.
Yeah.
A whole 2.1 terabytes of mainframe memory on this thing.
Where do you even get that many bytes? You know, who has that much information?
Seriously, how do you store so much information?
And I believe that's the mainframe on screen right now, and it's like it's just this huge room, and it's like I have a 5 terabyte hard drive by my foot right now. You know?
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, I had a friend growing up that his father was one of the main programmers for AT&T back in the day. And I remember I was in high school, so would have been, it was early high school, so it would have been like 83, 84.
Mm-hmm.
And he brought out this gigantic plastic donut that was about this big. And he asked any of us if we knew what that was. And none of us had any idea. And he said that was the first AT&T 1 megabyte hard drive.
Wow.
And it was like this big and probably weighed 15 pounds. Wow. And he said it cost $10,000.
Oh my God. Yeah.
For 1 megabyte of memory. So I was just trying to see what the computing power was in 1979 when this movie came out, but yeah, I can't do two things at once, so I suck. But yeah, so in this time, I mean, like you were dealing. Well, I as I told you before we started in 80, I got it before I went into law school, so it would have been 90s. 93 is when I got the Power Mac 140 with its crushing 40 megabyte hard drive, and people were making fun of me because I had such a huge, massive 40 megabyte hard drive. And that was 12, 13 years after this movie came out. So the idea of a terabyte was just literally unfathomable in 1979.
Yeah. And this is supposed to be 100-something years in the future.
Yeah.
So of course they're like, 2 terabytes. And nowadays you have, Zoomers on TikTok that are saying, hey, look, they 3D printed the save button. And it's like, that's a floppy disk.
So then there was probably some editor going, oh, come on, really? Yeah. A, nobody's going to know what a terabyte is. And B, come on, this might be science fiction, but there's got to be some believability to it.
But to be fair, I love the aesthetic of Alien. I just want to push all those buttons, man. I don't know what they do. I just want to push them.
And you have to assume that they all know what each one of these buttons actually.
Yeah.
That's why I want to hear with a commercial jet pilot. When you ask him what everything does, he's like, I don't know. I just want to hear I don't know.
That's me whenever I walk into the engine room. I don't know. It just looks cool.
Wow, it's this terabyte thing. Let's hear more about this.
Yes.
Or, as the crew like to call it, Mother. Mother monitored flight and acted as the autopilot. She also managed all the ship's autonomous systems during the crew's hypersleep. The system also had a 2 terabyte automatic backup system in case of failure, and even a third tier of automatic systems in case of further failure. Mother also acted as an advisory system for the ship's captain, and would modify and adjust directives to the crew from the company in mid-flight. Finally on board the ship was a pair of Lockheed Martin Star Cub shuttlecraft. These were named the Narcissus and the Salmacis. These small 48-ton shuttles were utilized to shuttle crew to and from locations, and in case of emergency, they could also act as lifeboats. Capable of interstellar travel, each shuttle could comfortably house up to 3 crew, and even had accommodations for hypersleep in case of abandoning ship in a remote region.
So
at the time of the incident on the third...
apparently Solus just doesn't exist anymore because they had 7 crew members, and they had 2 of these 48-ton
Yeah.
lifeboats that can house 3 people.
Yeah.
So you have less, storage than you have crew, first of all. And you have these massive shuttles that can fit 3 people. That's it. So I always thought that was funny. And one of them isn't even working at the time of Alien.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and as you point out, it was never explained why it wasn't working.
Yeah. Yep.
3rd of June, though, only one of these vessels was operational. The reason being is still unknown.
Yeah.
The USCSS Nostromo made dock in Thetis in April of 2121. Before beginning the lengthy process of refitting, refueling, taking on stores, and of course unloading 20 million tons of ore and petroleum for its automated refinery to refine on the return trip to the Sol system and Earth. 6 weeks later, once fully loaded, the Nostromo was connected to the Tesotech 2100B refinery.
See, and that's how badass these space tugs were. They were towing this behemoth.
Yeah, it's like a small city. So, yeah.
So just imagine a little tugboat out on the ocean pulling one of these offshore oil platforms.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. Yeah.
Massive automated refinery was built in 2115. Its dimensions were staggering. 6,322 feet or 1,927 meters in length.
More than a mile.
4,124 feet or 1,257 meters at the beam, and 3,677 feet or 1,121 meters from bottom to its highest point.
So it's basically like a cubic mile, like a mile in each direction.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy to think about. It's the ship itself is a pretty good size, but like the refinery was just this huge thing and completely automated. So you can imagine just 7 people running this entire ship and then also, being in charge of the refinery.
It was capable of processing and transporting around 20 million tons of raw material entirely autonomously, with only occasional commands coming from Mother on the Nostromo. Nostromo departed Thetis with 7 crew and 1 ship's cat. The captain was 46-year-old Arthur Dallas. Dallas was a veteran captain, having served in the United America's Outer Rim Defense Fleet. But after losing a transport ship due to his negligence, he was dishonorably discharged with his flight status revoked.
One thing
Only 3
you'll
years of
notice
civilian
with all of the crew, everyone except Ripley is like incompetent or have a checkered past or did drugs or what have you. Like they are all fuck ups except for Ripley. Ripley and
it was
the
just
cat.
that job. Yeah, the job nobody wanted, and you don't need to have the brightest minds on a tug, apparently.
Yeah. And I can't remember. I think like Ripley got the job on the Nostromo because she was like a whistleblower for fuck ups on another ship. So like they were like, go stay with these assholes. So, and she was like trying her best to run the ship as well as she could, but it's like
sounds like a moving company. Exactly. Yeah. This is a space moving company.
Yeah. It's like yeah.
We had Mark Pugner mentioning Dark Star 1974, one of the greatest movies ever made. You get to see Dark Star. Dark Star is fantastic. That was our Alien director's. I believe it was his college film project.
Huh? Really?
Made on a $10,000 budget. Well, they made it, and then they gave them $10,000 to make it better.
Huh.
It was like Dan O'Bannon and who John Carpenter and Dan O'Bannon. They made this. It was like part of their college film project.
Really? I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. Oh, and it's great. I mean, the alien is just a beach ball painted red. It's great.
Okay.
And
I love it.
Then it's like there's the HAL kind of computer that's taken care of. And then they have to get in this big logic battle with the computer. It's a great homage to 2001 and things like that.
Okay. Yeah.
In transport work was his flight status restored by the Weyland-Yutani Corporation and placed in command of Nostromo in 2120. His second in command was 38-year-old Gilbert Ward Thomas Kane.
And Rip John Hurt too, man. Oh, what a great actor. God, one of the greatest actors to live ever. What a great guy. So young. Even though he's old, he still looked young. Doesn't matter. He was like a terminal alcohol. Damn it! Speaking of being an alcoholic, I made an old fashioned and I left it in the fridge. Dang it! Oh well.
Ow.
It's waiting for me when I finish. I mentioned alcohol, and remember, wait a minute, I haven't had a drink yet. All right, I guess we better continue.
Yep.
A med school dropout turned starship officer, serving on spacefaring vessels since 2112. The ship's warrant.
Greatest album ever, Rush 2112. I will accept no other answer.
I do love Rush.
Just got sidetracked there again. Sorry.
No, yeah.
Officer and third in command was 30-year-old Ellen Ripley. The third mate was a noted hard charger and well-versed in laws and regulations. She joined the Nostromo en route to Thetis. The navigation officer and pilot was 29-year-old Joan Lambert. The chief engineer was 42-year-old military veteran Dennis Parker, and his assistant engineer was 53-year-old Samuel Brett. A new science officer joined on Thetis just a few days before the return trip, known simply as Ash.
AKA Bilbo Baggins.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Was a great actor.
If your new science officer only has one name, it's gonna raise some questions. Like Ash,
Yeah.
what? No, that's just it. It's just Ash. It's like, okay.
And there's other flags too that we can talk
Finally,
about.
the crew was accompanied by a ginger American returned Samuel Brett.
Go back.
A new science officer joined on Thetis just a few days before the return.
That's the point I wanted to make. We've seen this before with God, I can't think of which disaster that we talked about recently, where the owners put a new guy on the ship, put their guy on the ship. That was sort of out. I think it was the Batavia. Put his guy on the ship just to keep an eye on everybody else. And if the owners are just saying, "Oh, here's a last minute guy," chances are this guy is going to do something to screw things up.
Yeah,
because he's the company man, not the seafaring type. He's just a company guy that's put on the ship.
Yeah.
Beware.
Return trip, known simply as Ash. Finally, the crew was accompanied by a ginger American short-haired cat, Jones, on board to handle any rodent issues as well as be a companion for the crew. On or around the 3rd of June 2122, Mother accelerated the Nostromo out of FDL flight and revived its crew from hypersleep. As they came to, the navigation officer, Lambert, calculated their position and determined they had only been out for 10 months and were only about halfway to Sol. It was determined that Mother was responding to what was believed to be a distress call originating from a nearby planetoid designated LV-426. ICC protocols required that the crew must investigate, assuming it's coming from.
Good to see that law is still in place in the future.
Yeah.
Duty is to help people out.
Especially
and
in
the computer
space.
obeyed it. Yeah. Where no one can hear you scream.
From an intelligent life form. Captain Dallas agreed, and Nostromo was detached from its refinery to land on the planetoid and investigate the source of the transmission. During the re-entry and landing upon the small rock of a planet, dirt kicked up by the ship's atmospheric impulse drives were sucked into the ship's intake manifold, causing electrical fires in several vital systems on the ship. The fire was quickly brought under control by crew and installed firefighting systems, but the damage was already done. Estimates showing it would like.
This is another thing. That's when I read that, I'm like, that is so realistic. Like a $48 million ship sucks up some dirt and just lights everything on fire. Like that is the most realistic depiction of. And we used to have our 45-foot response boats. They were jet driven, so they had an intake on the bottom. That intake had anywhere from like a 6 to 10 foot draw. So if you got into, 10 foot deep water, you were sucking up dirt into the jets, and it was just ruining everything. So I read that. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty real, man.
I was wondering, would that have something to do with maybe perchance some retrofitting problems? Could that be the intake of sand and dust and dirt into things? Yeah.
If you look at those, the thrust tunnels on the front, the intake is downwards facing. So you're just blowing stuff into the intake as you're landing. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Likely take around 24 hours. As the engineers set to work, an away team consisting of Dallas, Kane, and Lambert donned EVA suits and hiked the 2,000 meters across the desolate rock to the source of the signal. Upon arriving at the site, the three were surprised to find the crashed hull of a spacecraft, likely alien in origin. After ingressing into the hole, the crew discovered a long-deceased alien member of the crew, who apparently perished from something punching through its chest. Further investigation found the ship's cargo hold, heated and filled with hundreds, if not thousands, of what appeared to be eggs. Upon closer inspection, Executive Officer Kane discovered that the eggs were partially translucent and had living organisms inside. Shortly after this discovery, though, an egg opened. Out burst a creature that attacked Kane, melting through his helmet and attaching itself to his face. Dallas and Lambert were forced to drag the now unconscious Kane back to the ship. Once in the airlock, they requested access back to the ship, to which Ellen Ripley denied, citing ICC and company quarantine policies.
Quarantine policies are there for a reason.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And Ripley was 100% right in doing and saying what she did.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because she's just citing policy. I wouldn't want some weird alien on my ship, to be honest.
You get countries, and everybody in chat, if you watch Aussie Overlord's channel, ask him about the Australian quarantine policies. They are a very clean island. Of course, everything on the continent wants to kill you, but
yeah,
they're pretty much, there's like no rabies. There's nothing like that in the entire country. They are very, very strict with their quarantine policies. And we were just talking about, I was out drinking with some friends yesterday, and she was talking about how when she was living in Australia, her mother sent her a pine cone Christmas tree because she thought she would miss pine cones. And the quarantine people at customs had a fit.
Oh yeah. I do
just
remember,
don't want that anywhere near. Yeah, go ahead.
I do remember doing a boarding with Customs and Border Patrol on a Polish freighter that was in the Great Lakes, and I was talking to the Polish captain, very friendly guy, asked him where he lived and all that. And the CBP officer comes up, and she puts a hand on my chest and moves me out of the way and says, "Excuse me." I was like, "Whoa, okay." She had just done an inspection of the ship's fridge, and she holds up a vial for the captain. She says, "Do you see this?" And he's like, "No." And I look in the vial and I don't see anything either. There's a small speck in it. She's like, "This is an invasive species. This could destroy crops." And he was like, "Okay, all right. Are you going to shoot me now?" And she said, "Not with all these people watching." And I was like, "You need to say that a little more jokingly."
Wow.
Yeah.
You're just kidding, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Customs and Border Patrol, they're scary sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why if you go into California, they search your car.
Oh, yeah.
If you come up from the border, even if you're coming in from out of state, they can still stop you and check you. Canada, we just don't want things getting from one biosphere going into some place where they don't belong and become an alpha predator or some other horrific thing.
Exactly. See, if Alien took place in 1700s England, they would have fried up and eaten the things inside the eggs. So they didn't care back then. Nice. They'd eat whatever.
Yeah, zebra mussels that's a good example.
Yeah.
And Australia, they even joked about that on The Simpsons. Somebody brought in a bullfrog, and that damn near destroyed the ecosystem.
Yes. Yeah.
Someone, and weirdly, I mean, it's great for me fishing and whatnot here, but a huge invasive species in Korea is the wide-mouthed bass, freshwater bass.
Yeah.
Koreans won't eat them. They're trash fish, but Koreans eat carp. Fair trade. You eat your carp, and it's just like, just catch as many of these bass as you can and get rid of them. All right.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and fry up some bass, no problem. Yes, it's just, but it's an invasive species and it's eating everything.
Yeah.
So quarantine is a very, very serious thing. And so they should, if they would have listened to Ripley, especially when it's wrapped around a guy's face and has somehow melted through his helmet, that's a sign just to leave it where it is.
That's a red flag.
And go away. Go away quickly.
There was some kind of alien organism attached to the executive officer's face. Surely it wasn't safe to bring aboard. Ripley ignored a direct order from Captain Dallas to open the airlock, but was ultimately superseded by the science officer, the man known only as Ash, who had only just joined the crew 2 days before leaving Thetis.
So, yeah, again, there's some warning signs. When the company guy comes on the ship, only 2 days, essentially I guess it's what, 2 waking days?
Yeah.
And then he starts countermanding orders and giving you orders.
Yeah. Ripley's,
that's a guy that's working for the company.
Ripley's citing laws, and Ash is like, no, just open it. Him citing, it'll be fine, trust me.
Yeah, I work for the owner.
With the crew back on board, Kane was brought to medbay and was carefully examined, discovering that the XO was alive and being kept alive by the strange alien parasite that refused to detach from his face. Efforts to cut the creature off of him revealed that the creature's body contains some form of molecular acid that melted entirely through 2 sets of deck plating, the determination being made to not attempt to remove it again. Shortly afterwards, though, the parasite apparently removed itself from Kane and then died, Kane coming around shortly afterwards. Once repairs were completed, the Nostromo took off from the surface to reconnect with the refinery and get back on course for the Sol system. Once reattached, the crew settled down for one last meal before re-entering hypersleep for the long haul back to Earth to complete their mission. During this meal, though, Kane seemed to take ill rapidly, convulsing in pain before falling onto the table in front of the crew. To the horror of the rest of the crew, an alien creature burst from Kane's chest, killing him instantly. It then ran off before the shocked crew could do anything about it.
And that was one of the greatest scenes in film history, too.
Oh, absolutely.
That whole scene was just fantastic. And see, if they just would have listened to Ripley, this wouldn't have happened.
That's true.
JD, molecular acid melts in your mouth and your hands and through your decks.
Very
nice.
True.
And Jim Satala, I'm originally from Chicago, and I remember a whole bunch of electric fences in the river trying to prevent Asian carp from making it into Lake Michigan. Exactly. Maybe the bass is like revenge. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's in Spaceballs, not again.
Yeah.
Oh, and then there's Spaceballs again. We see the theme going here.
Yep.
Not again.
Yep.
Yeah, there's actually a whole documentary on filming this one scene.
It's
really,
awesome.
really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The actors didn't know what was going to happen. The reaction you see is their real reaction. Yeah, it's really cool, and how they created the little chest burster. It's a bunch of fun. Just go search for it on YouTube. It's there, guys.
Yeah, it's very good stuff.
Now, with the creature somewhere on the vessel, the crew set out with the difficult task of attempting to find it before they went into hypersleep, armed with cattle prods and a motion sensor developed by Ash. Unbeknownst to them, the creature was capable of growing surprisingly quickly. In searching for it, Assistant Engineer Samuel Brett was dragged off into the vents and presumed dead. Realizing the alien was utilizing the vents to navigate the ship, the idea was brought up to force the creature through the vents and into the airlock, where it could be vented into space. The crew rigged up a flamethrower, and Captain Dallas entered the vents to flush the creature towards the airlock, but was outmaneuvered by the creature and, like Brett, was presumably killed. Now, with 3 crew members dead, the prospect of abandoning ship was brought up, but with only 1 functioning shuttle, that left room for only 3 crew.
And again, as you said, no lessons were learned from the Titanic here.
No, absolutely not. Yeah. I always wondered where they got the cattle prods from. Why is that standard gear on a mining tug vessel?
Well, now that you mention it, that is an interesting question.
Yeah. Like they cobbled together the flamethrower, but they just had cattle prods on board.
I had never actually thought about that.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Chalk that up to the things that are never going to be unseen again.
Yeah, right.
Now every time I watch it, I'm like, "Hi, okay, huh? There you go."
Ellen Ripley, now acting captain, consulted Mother to determine what to do, where it was revealed that the AI was following special orders from the Weyland-Yutani Corporation.
Oh, and there we have it, the corporate greed that is involved in so many accidents. When the company wants to cut corners, they want to save money, they want to overload the ships, they want to underman the ships, they don't want to do the repairs, they want to bring illegal cargo in. Corporate greed is a huge part of a great many maritime accidents.
Oh yeah. Yep. Well, they can't afford 3 lifeboats to fit their entire crew, but they can afford cattle prods and putting a giant space cockroach on the boat.
Spot that says they're bored in space. Kinky play with a cattle prod. Shocking. Oh, cattle. I'm never going to be able to. Cows in space. I was like, the Muppet Show, they had pigs in space, so why not cows in space? I don't know. Cough. Oh, Ohio train derailment cough.
Oh, yeah.
Which one?
Yeah.
But yeah, just go back through my playlist, go back through Maritime Horrors playlist, and just watch how many of these accidents literally involve corporate greed. It's shocking.
Mm-hmm. Special Order 937. It read as Priority 1, ensure return of organism for analysis. All other considerations secondary. Crew expendable. Yeah. The corporation had sent them to LV-426 to bring this alien aboard. Shortly after this, Ripley was attacked by Science Officer Ash. The man was apparently a synthetic android planted on the ship by the company to ensure the capture of the alien specimen.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, nickel for every time, honestly.
After disabling Ash, Ripley, Parker, and Lambert decided to self-destruct the ship by overheating the ship's core and escaping on the ship's remaining Starcrub shuttlecraft. The crew split up. Lambert and Parker off to gather coolant and fuel for the shuttle.
That's the moment she knew she fucked up.
Yep. Should have gotten a job on a ferry.
And that's about all you can do at that point is just sit there and cry.
Yeah.
And just wait for the front of your face to be punched out with the little mini head.
Oh, Lambert didn't do much in that movie. I will say that.
Yeah. She probably deserved it.
Yeah.
She's useless.
And Ripley to overload the reactor. The reactor would take 10 minutes to overload with a 5-minute grace period where it could be reversed. But whilst overloading the core, Lambert and Parker were ambushed and killed by the alien. Once Ripley discovered the dead crew.
Yeah, and Chris Mullins is also never split up. Never.
No. No.
Yeah, it's one of the laws of horror. Never split up. Never have sex in a tent by a lake.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Never run into the basement.
Yeah.
Well, that's just good common sense for everyday life. Never run into the basement if you're being chased by someone.
I was looking at I was looking at the Weyland-Yutani thing, and apparently Lambert was a navigator on a ferry ship before getting on the Nostromo. Also
Probably
married and divorced
breakdown.
twice.
Somebody's just like making up shit, putting in a book, and going, "I dare you to prove me wrong."
Yeah,
right.
right.
I guess we'll accept that as canon too.
Yeah.
I love these people that just like have these ideas and they just write them down, and because it answers questions I didn't know I had when I read these books.
Yeah.
Like there's one of my favorite books is a book that just doesn't exist anymore. The Dune Encyclopedia. It was written by one of Frank Herbert's good friends. It's this huge book that had Frank Herbert's blessing. And it went out of print like 1 million years ago. And you can find used ones on eBay and Amazon, but they run hundreds of dollars.
Oh, wow.
And I'm never getting rid of mine. And the new books that Frank Herbert's sons are writing, they made this 80-year-old man disavow his life's work under threat of lawsuit.
Wow.
Yeah, dicks. But it's just like the ultimate nerd out. He just said, all right, I love your universe, and I'm just going to fill in all of the gaps in this gigantic encyclopedia.
Yeah.
Let's split up, gang.
Yeah, split up and look for clues.
Crewmates, she attempted to stop the overload process, but was too late.
Ooh.
Loading herself and the ship's cat onto the Narcissus, the ship's only functioning lifeboat, she took off mere moments before the ship's core detonated in an incredible supernova, destroying the ship and the refinery instantaneously. Ellen Ripley and Jonesy finally took a moment to breathe a sigh of relief, but it was cut all too short as Ripley realized that the creature had, through instinct or pure luck, stowed away aboard the shuttle as well, hiding in the ductwork. She quietly moved to the small craft's EVA suit locker, donning a suit as quickly and as quietly as she could. Upon doing so, she lured the creature out of the ductwork before strapping herself in and venting the alien out into space through the airlock. As it attempted to hide inside the engine cowling on the exterior of the ship, Ripley initiated the ship's engines, cooking the alien and sending it tumbling off into the dark black abyss of space. With one final log entry, Ellen Ripley and Jonesy the cat set in for a long hypersleep, their course set for the inner core worlds. The two would finally rest. After 24 hours of a nightmare, they were the only survivors of the USCSS Nostromo. April Fools. Thank you very much for tuning into another April Fool's video. I can't believe it's been a year since my last one, of course, on the UNSC Pillar of Autumn. I hope you enjoyed. I know it's not my usual brand of video. Most people might see this out of the context of April Fools and wonder what the heck I'm doing. But Alien is another franchise other than Halo that I just absolutely love. And this video was super fun to research and to work on. I got so many cool books on the subject, and I got to rewatch my favorite movie, Alien, which it's just fantastic. The whole atmosphere of it, just the way it's so completely futuristic and yet still 1970s and 1980s, just awesome. That movie is an absolute masterpiece. Thank you so much for watching. At this point, I am so close to 100,000. I'm sure by the time I actually post this, I will be above 100,000, and that is fantastic. I'm looking forward to that play button. Oh, that's so cool. And I have all of you to thank for it. So definitely, I'd like to thank the patrons. All of you, of course, I want to thank all of you. I also want to thank the patrons because they're just that extra special little bit, giving me that little bit of extra support and all that, and it's fantastic, and I appreciate it. So thank you so much. Give the video a like if you liked it. Dislike it if you didn't like it. It doesn't matter. I can't see it anyways. Like, comment, subscribe, all that usual YouTuber bric-a-brac. And keep an eye out for new merch coming soon. Everything bought from the merch store goes directly to the channel artist, who did an awesome job drawing the Nostromo for the thumbnail. Oh my God, just when you get a chance, click off the video, look at that thumbnail. It's awesome. She did a great job.
She did a very good job.
Enough of me gushing. Fair winds and following seas to you, shipmates.
My channel artist,
right.
my girlfriend, she loves Alien. So when I told her, hey, I need you to draw the Nostromo, she was super excited. So.
Oh, does she do all the line work for you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she does all of my
That's
thumbnails, all of any of my T-shirts or anything. She does all of them, and she does a great job. So.
And she's just done a new one for the video years 2 days ago, the ruination of the USG Ishimura.
Yeah. Yep. Another good one. That one was tough because there was a lot less information about it, but it was still fun. But
the wreck of the Enterprise D and E in Star Trek were both crashes with the same helmsman, Troy, and some acting Captain Riker was a liability. What is the liability issue there? Yeah, you might not want to give him a third chance at it.
Probably not.
And we said, yeah, holy fuck, $500 on Amazon. Yeah, and I thought I was getting just absolutely reamed when I bought mine for $69
Wow.
way back in the day. And I'm not selling mine because they just don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Bye, Francis. Oh my God, I thought this was a true story. Oh my God. It's based on a true story. And why are you playing EVE Online music? Because we're flirting with disaster.
Yeah.
And the links to the video are the entire, I guess, what would you call that? It's not really a song. Piece of music is down there in the link.
Yeah. I used to play EVE Online a good bit, and I love that song. It's such a good song.
Now we'll see if I get copyright nailed for that one.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you didn't, so I think I'm.
No, I didn't. Yeah. With that one, I think it was just because I was talking over it the whole time, so the algorithm doesn't pick it up. But yeah. But I also, I cited and all that. So.
Well, and that's what I try to do. I figure that at least if someone cares, I mean, you could just be a dick like the person that gave me the copyright strike did and I deserved it. And I just totally ripped it. It was for a stupid fireworks show here, and I took the official Busan City firework thing and just copied and pasted it for New Year's, and I deserved it. But I did the okay. Look, I'll take it off. I'll delete it if you just do it. They didn't even bother to get the email, but I just think if people care enough to look at what you're doing, hopefully they'll see the site. They'll see that it's done out of admiration and respect, and the source material is treated with respect. And I'm not just ripping it off. I'm adding to it and providing additional comments and using it actually as the source material, which I hope people appreciate.
Oh yeah. But
if your videos sucked, I wouldn't want to use them.
Yeah, fair. Yeah. I like these.
How long does it take you to make a video on average?
It depends.
From planning to execution.
I've had a few that have taken me a few days. There's like my superstitious sailors, which are just kind of like short little, palette cleansers. Those take me a few days, but I've had videos that have taken me weeks to come up with. So, but I think the Andrea Doria one took a long time. So,
see, and that's I realize that and I recognize that, and it's just that there's such a good job. And
thank you.
I always make a point of pimping the channel, both the video link and call for subscriptions and likes and things for the people. Just say, look, this is being done out of respect and love, not out of just me wanting to take shortcuts. Because I could never do these things.
They take a good bit of time. I
appreciate you being cool with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I put just about as much effort into even my April Fools as I do all my other ones, and I still get comments from octogenarians that are like, I don't understand this. Go back to boats. What is this video game stuff? And it's like, all right. It's April Fools, buddy. Come on.
Go back to the sailing boat.
Yeah.
The clipper ships I remember in my youth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if I did something on the SS Minnow, I'm sure all of the old folks would love that. But
I've actually toyed around with that idea a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some books out there about that too, breaking it down.
I'm sure.
I'm so happy I get to go to Copycuck school in 11 days.
Oh, fun.
I have to figure out what copyright school is. Apparently they're going to tell me when my strike time is up. I got to go sit through some YouTube video and click the right answers. And don't do it again.
Yeah.
Well, folks, let's see. We got Duncan, Idaho. Speaking of Dune, Duncan, Idaho. I'm 8 minutes in. I'm 8 minutes behind, but maybe the cattle prods were included as a non-lethal option to subdue a crazy crew member. Appreciate you in the stream. Maybe.
I've never heard of doing that. I mean, I have heard of. In the case of the Eastland, holding a crew member at gunpoint for attempting mutiny and all that. I've heard of that. I have not heard of your captain walking up and cattle prodding you for not doing a good job.
Maybe that's because they didn't know that tasers would be a thing in the future. It's like a proto taser.
True.
Could have been a proto taser.
Yeah.
Have you considered adding a dog cam to your videos?
I don't currently have a dog. I'm moving out of my apartment soon into an actual house so I can get a dog. But maybe I'll consider it just in the lower left-hand corner or something.
Yeah, this is like a day 4, day 5 edition to the calls that have been going on for months. Because usually they're just walking around, and my studio used to be in a bigger. It's like 2 rooms that had a sliding partition. I just took the partition out and made a big room, and then I moved into the small one and heated the call to the dog cam. So it's my new sidekicks.
Adorable.
Yoda's still missing in action. Definitely got to be asleep. Well, we're kind of wrapping things up here. Let's end this poll here real quick. How did we end up with the like and subscribe poll? We've got 474 people still watching, which is fantastic. 573 likes. And how did the poll turn out? Oh, we flipped our answers. Nope. Number one, still number one. Did you hit the like and subscribe button? 17% of you said I did. This is not alien to me. 22% yes, but no one can hear you scream. 29% I did. Now it's game over, man. And 31% said yes. I got you, you son of a bitch. And end our poll. That's our little like and subscribe poll we do, because I never, even when I'm watching other content creators things, I never remember to hit the like button. And so I figured just draw attention to it. That's why you should go right now to Maritime Horrors and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so, and literally watch and like every single video there.
Thank
Absolutely deserving. You can't go wrong with this channel. And he's got some cool merch too. I've been meaning to buy some merch. You got to buy some merch.
Absolutely.
Patches and cool stuff like that.
Yeah, appreciate it. All of that stuff that goes to paying my starving channel artist. I keep her in a little cupboard under the stairs, and I say, "Come out here, draw." I don't do that. I'm sorry.
Does she draw like all of your superstitious sailor things as well?
Yeah, she does any art on my channel. I am not artistically inclined in any way, shape, or form. She does, and I mean, I have her on retainer. She gets commission, so.
You should ask her if she wants to expand out beyond to other channels.
She's done thumbnails for other channels before, so if you want to hit me up on Twitter, I can maybe get you in contact with her.
We can talk.
Excellent.
I'm kind of looking for people to take the channel up to the next level, because I'm just this little tiny corner place with 36,000 subscribers, and
you're getting there.
All of the big guns, like you guys.
I appreciate it. Yeah. I mean,
are you surprised that it's taken off?
No, not at all. I
really?
think anything that isn't a Let's Play channel, if you're informational and people are interested in the information you can give, you're gonna go somewhere on YouTube. There's so many people that are like, oh, this is my daily vlog, or this is my Let's Play channel. It's hit and miss. You got to get lucky with people that are knowledgeable and provide information on YouTube. I think they honestly have a higher chance of being noticed than other channels. So just be smart and tell people about it. Sound like you know what you're talking about.
Oh yeah, I'm real good at bullshitting.
Yeah. Amen.
And then people, that's not what it is. Oh, thank you for the information. I stand corrected.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're right or wrong, but you told me I was wrong, so I probably believe it.
And honestly, I've learned so much, because there were so many people that would tell me, you have no idea how this works as far as engines. And I've gone and researched how like boilers work and how different engines work. So I've learned more doing this just to not sound like an idiot for YouTube.
I love those comments. Instead of saying, the engine really works like this, there's like, dick.
Yeah, exactly. Just the most
really
vitriolic thing they could say, as if you're scum of the earth and they need to fix you. You don't know anything about
engines. You and your stupid channel suck.
Yeah, I'm never watching one of these videos again.
Yeah. But like as I mentioned before we started, my chat that's here today and my viewers that are here today are crazy loyal to Maritime Monday, and they let me have it. And we've talked about your channel a bunch of times. We've used, I think, 5 of your videos. And one thing I do as well with all of the channels I take, I don't do anything that's less than 4 months old, because the creator should get the first crack at the gigantic piles of cash that come in from YouTube views.
Right.
I know people that do clip things and or do things like, or the day after someone releases something, they start clipping and uploading and stuff like that. And think, yeah, you're just cutting into. I mean, nobody's done that with me yet because I'm nobody, but I see it on other channels. I think you're just cutting into their project. At least let their views die down a little bit before you go in and start sniping things.
Right.
But I do sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate your understanding and indulgence to use these amazing things that you put your blood, sweat, and tears into.
Absolutely. Yeah, no problem.
And chat, if now's your last chance here. If any questions you have for Maritime Horrors or comments, we'll wrap this up in about 5 minutes here. Give you guys a chance to get in some last comments if you have any.
And the crickets chirp.
Yeah, we go through our 17-second delay. Sorry, Laura. I hope you didn't tell me I was a dick for something, but thanks for sharing your knowledge and insight. That's a good way of all the simping that I've done here for the masters of information. Does Maritime have a dog? No, we just went through that. He's just getting ready to move out of his apartment, and he may get one.
Yeah, if I could. My family used to have Samoyeds. I love Samoyeds.
Oh, nice.
Yes,
nice.
Very pretty dogs.
Right. Have you ever thought you were going to die on a ship? Well, there you go. That's a bright, cheerful comment.
Oh, jeez. I did have a very close call. Back in 2012, 2013, we were towing the motor vessel. Shoot, what was that? It was contracted by Shell Oil. The vessel that was towing a mobile drilling rig, the Kulik, 3 of its engines went down in a bad Bering Sea storm. So our little 300-foot cutter was going to tow this 500-foot towing vessel that was also towing a oil rig. And it was in a bad storm, and we were setting up for tow, sent over the messenger line and everything. They were pulling in the tow line, but it was getting set back while we were kind of maintaining station. So it was getting farther and farther away from us while they were trying to pull in this towing line. Well, by the time they had maybe half the messenger line on board, almost all of our towing line was out. So our conning officer, instead of doubling back, reducing the distance, started backing down. And about that time, the messenger line snapped on the towing vessel. And so the tow line went taut right into our screws as we were backing up. So that 8-inch hawser went instantly tight and snapped. And that 8-inch hawser came about a foot from my head as
my God,
as it came back on deck.
For those of you that have seen those, we've actually done videos because that came from me. People were asking about like the most gruesome things I've seen, and that was one that I've mentioned to 2 people. The 2 things I saw was just the horrific things that happen when those lines snap.
Oh yeah, those lines when they come under tension, they're dangerous. So yeah, that was the one time I was like, that might have been me if I was a few feet to the right.
Yeah, see, the chat knows where it's going. Yeah, I mean, one was it was a steel cable and just cut a guy in half, just diagonally right across his chest. The other one, the guy was standing over the bollard when the thing snapped. And that's when I learned the definition of the term penile degloving.
Oh God! See, I see degloving, and I think of holding a line too tight and getting your hand caught in like a fixture or something. But yeah,
yeah, this thing snapped, and it literally skinned him from the inside of one thigh up and around, and down to the knee on the other thigh.
Yeah,
it just that fast ripped his skin off.
Yeah.
And it was just flesh and muscle hanging there for the world to see.
That's where you get the horror from Maritime Horrors.
Yep. Yeah. That is the worst. And I've seen a guy that walked into a stabilizing rotor of a helicopter.
Oh.
But the penile degloving was actually worse.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just like a missing face and a gigantic spray of blood.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was pretty gruesome.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, and we watched that. We watched a bunch of videos with these lines snapping, the mooring lines, and the anchor chains and shit like that. And there was one where it actually did separate the bollard from the pier, and it just launched this thing halfway across the bay.
God. Oh, that's terrifying. Yeah, because it's just like a big slingshot,
and it's just that fast. I mean, this thing's going past your head.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have had time to react if it was coming straight at your head.
No, you wouldn't have had time to regret anything. It would have just been, you're here and you're gone. So yeah.
It's still not as painful as stepping on Legos.
Fair. That's true.
Yeah, like the tall guy in Raiders of the Lost Ark getting the propeller. But this just kind of went that way right on the guy's face.
Yep.
Ow. Well, gosh, guys, thank you so much for being here in chat. Oh, we got one more Twitch thought. Pay to watch me sleep, Jeff. Pay to watch my bulldog sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. If only they'd sleep. Several helicopter accidents have happened parachute accidents have happened with helicopters on the ground. Ouch. So I don't trust helicopters. You've obviously flown in them, I guess.
Yeah, I've once or twice. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of them.
See, that's how little science knowledge I actually have. Is I just think, okay, if even like engineers can't really explain how helicopters work, that makes me nervous.
Yeah. My big prominent Neanderthal brow furrows in concentration as I try to understand helicopters. So
yeah, when they're not supposed to fly, but they just somehow do. All right.
Yeah.
I watched a video yesterday of a guy walking between the body of a helicopter and the tail rotor.
Oh.
Don't do that. That's not a big space.
No.
Helicopter equals a stupid floaty plane.
Yeah.
Oh, Diana Dodson, thank you so much for mentioning I missed a super chat. Deeply appreciate that. Let me go back here and see. Oh, happy Maritime Monday. That was like 10 minutes ago. Let me scroll up here and shoot you to fame and less fortune because you paid for super chat. But thank you so much for that. And I deeply, deeply apologize for that. I'm going back here. There we are. Diana Dodson, and it was a big one too. Dang. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for pointing out. Not only thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you for pointing out I missed it. You have no idea what a piece of crap I feel like if I do forget these super chats. Thank you again for that. Happy Maritime Monday. And now you've got me paranoid, so I'm going to scroll through the super chat list here. We do have Stephen Cooper from the Bent Halos and Broken Wings level. Wow, that's some high tier stuff you got going there for 6 months. Words to die by. #trust me, bro.
Yeah.
And let's see. Bigger question on my ships. Okay, we did that. Blade Runner. Now I'm just paranoid. I got to go back through all these things here.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. Brandon, who's been a member for 6 months of the Clean and Sober crew, talking about the Zechariah Anderson trial allegedly murdered. Yeah, no body, no murder weapon, no DNA. And Amanda Shanklin, also a new member. Welcome to the Clean and Sober crew. About 2 hours ago. Hope you're still here.
Sorry.
Oops. All right. Well, I think we've got everything now.
All right.
And chat mods, thank you for being so super and moddy and doing your jobs. Chat, thank you for being here. And I just want to give a special, super heartfelt thanks to Maritime Horrors for agreeing to do this and for being cool with us, learning from his videos that he makes. And I just cannot urge you all enough, like I do every single time, go subscribe to his channel, like all of his videos, give him the love that he deserves, buy some of the cool merch. It's there, and I'm going to be getting some merch because it's pretty darn cool stuff.
I appreciate it. Yep.
Thank you. Really, thank you for being here. It's deeply, deeply appreciated.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing your wonderful people with me.
And of course, Jillian N's got to be the contrarian here. And thank you so much for this last super chat. Nope, no other super chats. Don't worry. Thanks for super chatting. There are no other super chats. Nothing about Jeff is clean and sober. Well, that's different. That's just show for a different day. Well, all right, guys, we'll wrap this up here. I told him 2 hours, and just because I'm borderline ADHD and can't focus on anything, we actually went 2.5 hours. I appreciate the extra time you've given us. Chat, we'll see you tomorrow for Solomon Anderson, the brother of Zechariah Anderson, who was recently convicted of murder in Wisconsin. We're going to be talking some more about that, chat, tomorrow. And as always, next Monday, we will have a new Maritime Monday story of some sort to share with you once I decide what it's going to be. See y'all tomorrow. Again, Maritime Horrors channel. Go there, subscribe. Anything you want to say and as before we leave?
Fair winds and following seas, shipmates.
Lorax out.